What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Sunday morning season gaming Bitcast. Good to see everyone. We are excited. We're pumped. We got a big PlayStation showcase to talk about today. It's going to be a great show. You know me, Mr. Chopper, Ainsley Bowden, whatever the hell you want to call me. Joined as usual by my man below me here, Mr. Dan Rodriguez. How you doing,
brother? That's right. I'm here. Feeling great.
Is that forced enthusiasm?
Straight up. Yeah. Let's go throw that out there right now. Yeah. I get ahead of it. No, it's National Video Game Day, guys.
It is.
Happy National Video Game Day.
I did not know
I thought that was every day.
It is every day for us. This is the Twitter celebration with the hashtag. So, this is when it matters.
Yeah, so. This is when we all get our awards. Yeah, this is it.
Yep. Exactly.
Also joined my other co-host on my right here, looking sharp as always, bright and early, Mr. Tie Guy Travis himself. What's going on, man?
Clunky. Nice to see everybody, bright and shining faces, even Dan. And we got some awesome PlayStation news to talk about. And I hope everybody remembers to feed him and clean up his poop because we've got Neo Pet here. How you doing, buddy?
What? Said Neo Pet.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
I was like, wait, you got some food? Well, Neo Pet, look at that. Yes. Thank you for the introduction, Lord of Ties, Travis. Thank you very much. But yeah, back with the season gaming crew. Very excited to return for today's episode. We got a lot of fun stuff to discuss. Ains, thank you for having me. Travis, thank you for having me. And that's everyone.
Oh my God! It already begins.
Yeah, Neo said he needs to talk to you about some of your Twitter behavior.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. I got a bone to pick with you. What's going on, man? I bring nothing but wholesome to you, and you just going over there spouting.
It's just every once in a while I gotta, just kind of. You shouldn't have said anything. What? That was all your fault.
Is it really? I was
gonna show up with gray, beard and kind of really sagging face, and I was like, maybe this will turn them on. I don't know what's going to happen.
Good Lord.
I know. Yeah.
Good Lord. Where's the exit button? Leave studio. Now, but in all seriousness, Dan, good morning.
Good morning.
And wake up. We got a fun show ahead of us, man. Talk about PlayStation, bro. Come on, get
ready, man.
Yeah, wake up, Dan.
I got a Diet Pepsi and a Monster Energy on either side of me.
You should be excited, Dan.
He's crossing the streets again.
I'm ready to go.
I'm finally talking about PlayStation, your favorite single player games, man. That's their whole thing.
This is true. This is true.
Bread and butter.
Yeah,
this is true.
Yep.
Yeah, and the ones he likes the most too.
Yeah, so. GTA 5. I mean,
your favorite
for the 88th time.
Yeah. Stop it. All right. So we're gonna try and get through the show. Without talking about Boyfriend Dungeon. We're going to do our best.
Travis broke it.
Travis is going to take us there at some point.
Talked about it.
All right, we need some impressions. Let's go. So everyone's Boyfriend Dungeon takes. What's happening, man?
So moving on.
No. The streak continues.
This is a part of your legacy now. I hope you know that.
Well, honestly, ever since the last episode, we haven't gone a show without talking about dating sims, and I blame Travis 110% for this.
Yes. I didn't think this would be my legacy, and I embrace it fully.
This man's gonna be sitting back like Thanos at the end of Infinity War, just sitting back on the porch, just looking like,
was it worth it?
Yes.
Watch the sunset over a grateful galaxy.
Exactly.
A grateful galaxy. Oh boy. All right, guys. So before we jump into PlayStation, why don't we talk about stuff we've been playing? If there's anything interesting you want to touch on. I don't know if you want me to go because I've been playing Deathloop, baby. And it is
talk about it.
It is.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Give me the Dan,
just buy it.
There you go.
That's all you need to say.
Yeah.
Hey, let's
buy it. Done. Yeah. I'm gonna do it right now while I'm on my phone.
Yeah. And you're right, I can't talk about it. Embargo isn't. So anyone interested in that game who's watching us live, good morning, by the way, everyone. Jordan, Pong, Bomber, good to see you guys. Hassan's in the house. G-Man, what's happening, guys?
Good motto, everyone.
Yeah, embargo is actually tomorrow morning is when you'll see all the reviews pop up. So I can't really say much about it, but it is it's very, very, very good. Yeah, I wish I could talk more about it right now, but it is the one thing I will say, which I shouldn't be crossing any boundaries here, is that the kind of roguelike element of it it's a factor, but it's not like you would picture the 2D kind of roguelike games where you're playing through loop after loop after loop after loop. It's not like that. That's not how it works. So anyone who was kind of scared, like Dan, for instance, who doesn't really care for roguelites, and was kind of scared that this AAA game would be like that, like those who played Returnal, right? Like Returnal was pretty heavy into that.
Roguelike.
Yeah, it's not like that. So it's much more like a the best of Arcane is what I call it. It's like Dishonored meets Prey meets whatever else, but it's just damn good, man. Very damn good.
Pre-ordered.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go,
That's
sir.
how it is.
Wow,
Make sure you get that physical with the steelbook. Come on,
Do
then.
you get a commission on those Ains, or
You should
spot it right now?
No,
Right.
everything we do here costs me money. Literally everything.
Life of a content creator, man. Life of a content creator.
That's just a reality of the situation. But we do
Sounds
have
like a lucrative business model.
Yes, I'm not a very good businessman. That's for sure. We do have an early super chat here, Dan.
Yep. It is from Luke from the Xbox expansion pass, or somebody that hacked Luke's account. Mr. Babbitt sucks. Nope, definitely Luke. Hello to everyone else. Hello to everyone else.
What's up, Luke?
Luke, thank you, man. Good morning.
Being messy on a Sunday morning.
I know he's already starting, and Joe is not feeling well, so I know he's not even here to defend himself.
Man, messed up. Just kick a guy when he's down.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
Straight up, bro.
We actually have that's weird. Sorry, the other super chat that just came in showed up on our broadcasting channel before YouTube.
What?
That's really weird. So, anyway, there you go.
Yes, it's Hassan. Damn it, Ains. FOMO. I'm pre-ordering it now.
Yeah, Hassan, that's what I'm talking about. See,
Pete Hines is just watching this stream and smiling all the way through.
Pete, we'll talk later, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Get that affiliate code. Pre-order Deathloop.
Thanks for that review code, baby.
Yeah. I'm getting you sales left and right, Pete. All right, guys. What have you guys been playing, man? Anything good this past week?
Ooh.
I played The Artful Escape.
Yes, it's wild.
No, I played for like 5 minutes and then I uninstalled it.
Come on. You didn't even get to the fun part.
I didn't get to anything.
Was there spooky things in that game? Was there spooky things in that game?
I don't need
It scared him.
No, it did not scare me. I was just like, oh, come on.
He ran into his first social link.
So let me serious question, Dan. If you've paid any attention to that game leading up to it, you knew what it was. So how did you not know?
I didn't realize like what the core. I guess I really saw a trailer. It looked great. Like the gameplay looks great. I don't care. Don't care.
All right.
I need no kind of
God.
social commentary or I need to go through my life. This is how I go through my life games.
Dan, you don't write reviews, do you?
I do.
Rarely.
I do. Rarely. Very, very rarely. I think Hitman was my last one. So that's why I don't play those games, because I come from an area of, that's not going to happen. That's just, I don't want to, I'm not going to let my personal views, get in the way of a potentially good game. And it could be. Not saying it is. Not for me.
Isn't that what a review is, though? It's your personal.
Well, no, it's
you can't go to a review with bias, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Oxenfree 2 comes out, it gets a 0 already. Like it would never, ever cross my mind to buy that game.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
0.
Right. I wouldn't do that to somebody.
Travis, leave the box closed, man. Leave the box closed.
I will try. He opens it every episode, and I'm just like, who is this guy?
Anyway, Artful Escape. It is, if you thought Psychonauts 2 was an acid trip, you've seen nothing yet. Like, Artful Escape is so out there. It's absolutely wild if you haven't played it. It's a very simple game. It's literally you run across levels playing guitar, and then at the end of the level, you basically kind of but you play a concert with a boss where it's literally like a game of Simon. So there's 5 buttons, and you're like, ding, 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 and you have to match their things, and you play like a concert.
Yeah,
very simple. Yeah, but it's stunningly beautiful.
Looks really good.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of colors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, what else? Dan, I'm not sure that's the take we needed for the currently playing the 5-minute.
Yeah, everything else you know what I've been playing.
That's all he played this week.
That's all he
5
played,
minutes
man.
of
You know
Dark
he's
Souls.
got to be in bed by 4 p.m. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
I got a bottle of Ensure and a jar of baby food usually next time. So I'm ready to go.
All right, Neo, give me something. Travis, give me something.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so gaming the past week or so has been kind of light on my end, just because over here in the real, not to get too personal, we've been dealing with the recovery of Hurricane Ida, and that hit us pretty bad over here. So it was a good 5-6 days of just hauling out stuff from the basement. And then, when you're spending all that time and all that energy, it takes a while to get back in the mindset of, okay, I can sit back and relax. So I haven't been gaming as much as I wanted to. I did start getting back into it recently. And of course, my main go-to obviously is Final Fantasy 14.
I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, you know it. I'm in the midst of catching up to the entirety of the story before Endwalker comes out. I fell a little behind, but I'm making good progress with Stormblood. So after that, I got one more expansion. Then fingers crossed by November, I'll have it all done. But in addition to that, I have been playing 2 games, one of which I cannot talk about because I'm under embargo. But it's a very fun
just do
game.
what I do. Just talk about it anyway. No,
Yeah,
exactly. Just load it. No, I could not. I could.
Kiss.
I just do a whole chef's kiss, but no, people would judge me too much.
Yeah.
You can say that you're playing it though, right?
No, I can't actually.
You can't
That's
even
the thing.
mention that you're
I can't even
playing it?
mention it. No.
Oh, it must be a Nintendo game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the Nintendo Ninjas, man. You know how
don't
it
get
be.
us copyright strike just for saying his
Exactly.
name. Yeah.
Straight up, man. You're gonna have the Nintendo Ninjas show up to your door specifically, Ains. That's how it is. But other than that, a game I actually started last night. And this is purely because somebody on my stream gifted it to me because I was going to get this game in a few weeks after I went through a couple of things in my backlog. But they were just like, nah, you got to play this tonight, bro. It's amazing. And that is Tales of Arise. Now, I'm not sure if... Okay, Travis.
It's on my list to talk about today.
There you go. So I'm only about 2 hours into the game, so I haven't really gotten into the meat of it. It is a JRPG, so they do take a little bit of time to introduce a lot of things. But just off the rip, being someone who's played the Tales games since I was a kid, this is such a major step forward in so many ways. So many ways. There's been about 5 years since we've got a Tales game. They used to be dang near annually, so the jump between the quality really wasn't there. But after 5 years of development, what we saw in this game, the presentation, the animations, the music, the combat, the voice acting, the story elements, I'm not going to get too much into the spoilers, but it deals with some really heavy stuff that I didn't expect. They talk about slavery, they talk about racism, and I was just like, wow. But yeah, that's that. In addition to the other 2 games are going to be what I'm focusing on for the next couple days. And then I do want to try out the Artful Escape because I've been hearing everybody talk about it. Shout out to one of my homies. He described it as if he was really into plant medicine, he would love to take some plant medicine and play that game.
Yes.
If Steve Harvey is here in the comment section, what up? Shout out to Pong Soul. But yeah, so that's been what I've been playing recently. What about you, Travis? I know y'all have been having fun. Both you, Cog, everybody. Was there something big that happened in Destiny this week?
You didn't pull his Destiny cord, did you?
I had to pull this. I had to.
No.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you guys are friends with Cog or anybody like me on who plays Destiny, you've probably seen Twitter has been aflame with,
I thought you were going to apologize, but continue.
No, I'm not going to. But
Never apologize for Destiny. Never.
You follow us. You can easily unfollow. You can mute the word Destiny, but you choose not to. And the reason why is because Destiny is kind of awesome.
I know.
But yeah, the big thing that happened this week was the hardcore PvP mode Trials of Osiris basically got a refresh where they made it more rewarding and fun to play without being the ultra sweaty people. And they also added match.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
They're starting with you already.
Dude, they can come at me all they want. People have been taking my takes about Trials completely out of context. My point about this whole thing is that I think the changes that they're making are largely good. I think matchmaking didn't need to happen to fix it. And I am sad that the game mode that Trials was is basically gone now. Like the hardcore end game PvP experience has sort of been replaced by a more casual, accessible experience, which I think is good. I think that I'm glad that it exists, but the aspirational event where you have to be on a team of 3 and go through 7 matches and get to the end and win with them, it's basically gone. I mean, now the matchmaking works. You play with a different team every match, and it's sort of just a different game mode. So my whole point with all of this is that if they made the change, it wouldn't be the same game mode. And I'm right about that. Like, I still stand by that, but I'm not saying like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to Destiny. People are just choosing me as a guy because I'm not like 100% down with the changes they made to Trials, but I largely think it's good. And I mean, if you saw on Twitter this week at all, like, people are stoked about it. So like, that's awesome. I'm glad more people are playing Trials. That's cool.
Okay.
But yeah, I've obviously been playing Destiny. I think I'll probably say that every week of the show.
Yeah, you don't even have to say it. It's assumed.
Yeah, I've been playing Destiny. I played a little bit of Tales of Arise. That game's awesome. I've been playing Minecraft. Weirdly, I'm like, I get into Minecraft like every like 18 months, and I just get like sucked into it for like a few weeks and can't stop playing it. And then I'm reviewing a game for IGN. Obviously, Ains. I'm reviewing a very hard hitting game, just like you. You're reviewing this Deathloop game, which everybody's talking about. And I'm reviewing an equally exciting game called I Am Fish.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Is it in the same family as I Am Bread? Is this the long awaited?
It is made by the makers of I Am Bread.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like,
Straight up.
Yeah, this hard-hitting game that I'm reviewing. Great. So I'm writing the review today. I think the embargo is like on Monday or Tuesday. So I finished it over on Friday. Basically, I think I finished it, and it's like a physics-based puzzle game where you play fish that are sentient and trying to escape from fish bowls and stuff. And I'll have a review this week. So there's that. It's one of. I mean, I'm not really allowed to talk about it, but it is the weirdest game I've played this year, and everyone who's worked on that game is insane, is certifiable, and yeah, that's all I can say about
From
that.
the makers of I Am Bread comes I Am
the makers
Fish.
of I Am Bread, I Am Fish.
That's
and
great.
let me tell you, in that game, you is fish. That's all I have to say.
Can you get to the skillet? That's all I care about. If you talk about playing as a fish, man, get to the skillet. That's it, bro.
Get some
I think you
Cajun
probably
seasoning on there.
can.
You know?
You
Please.
can flop around lots of different places in that game. It's very funny. It's a very funny game. I can't really talk about it, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That sounds right up Dan's alley, though. To be honest, you
Yeah.
ever want to flop
game,
around as a fish
absolutely.
on a counter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
I do that like anyway.
Like the beluga whale.
It's a little too
I call
close
that
to home. Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah.
He's like, I call that Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm waiting for I Am Salami. Once that hits,
Oh,
I
I'll be
can't-
talking to you for
I
a
can't
week.
Get the
imagine,
charcuterie
Dan.
board.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, Dan, that the extremely limited amount of games that you enjoy includes games where the main obstacle is controlling your character, your avatar.
Well, no, it'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I just like to just watch movies, essentially. So, if you give me a game like that,
You'd love PlayStation. Should
Yeah.
we transition to that topic?
Yeah, there you
now?
go.
Let's
Great
go.
segue.
Perfect.
There you
Segue.
go. There you go. Segue.
It's just
All right.
movies with,
PlayStation
with
Showcase.
time events.
Yes.
It's been a while since we got one, and I think we've talked on this show. I know a lot of people, Neo, yourself, and many others have been like, PlayStation's been too quiet, right? They've just been too quiet this year.
It's been a whole year since their last showcase.
Yeah, we got nothing at
yeah.
E3. Then we are like, okay, we'll get something. They had the rumored show in July after E3. Nothing came.
July, August.
Then it was
September, every
Gamescom.
week.
Oh, PlayStation will show up at Gamescom. Nope, they didn't show up there either. And it's like, what is going on? So finally,
5.2 was supposed to come out.
Hell yeah. Give me that 8K.
8K baby
yeah.
already.
8K, yeah. PS5 Pro coming next week.
wow.
But anyway, we got the showcase. So what we're gonna do is, because there wasn't a whole lot of news this week, honestly, outside of this. So we're gonna spend quite a bit of time on this. We're gonna go through all of the big games. We're not gonna touch on GTA, I promise. We're gonna go through most of the games that we want to talk about, right? Not the rehash stuff. And then we'll give you our overall thoughts at the end, along with a couple of rumors and other things we've heard since then. So Right away, guys. So the thing for me that sucked here is I was working because it was, like 3 p.m. in the afternoon for me. And I had meetings I couldn't get out of. So I literally shut everything down, phone, computer, social media, didn't look at anything because I wanted to enjoy it myself. Finished my work and then sat down. And right away, they opened with Knights of the Old Republic remake. And for me, Knights of the Old Republic is a legendary game. Like, it is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. I still think it's one of the best Star Wars stories ever told. It's BioWare in their prime, basically, between there and Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins. But it's just come on. But it's it's a classic game, and many people have been calling for a remake of it for many years. So this was the biggest surprise, and my thought right away was, if they're opening with this, damn, we're in for one hell of a ride, right? But I think the biggest surprise here is this is at least timed exclusive on console to PlayStation, which
it is confirmed timed exclusive.
Yes, so I don't know if they said, people are saying a year, but I don't know if people are assuming that or if we actually know that.
So they haven't said anything based off of like the length. I think, Travis, they didn't say like how long it is, but I always run with the guys that if it's timed exclusive, bare minimum, expect a year. And if it doesn't come out within that year, I don't know, man. So that's
it's the same thing they said about Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? They said a year, and then it's still not on Xbox. So,
well,
but anyway,
Sony deals are usually 6 months, but I think it'll probably be longer just because it's such a big title. Probably a small studio that's getting a lot of its funding from Sony. So
yes,
I mean that's a huge win. It's also kind of crazy because that game was an Xbox exclusive, Republic, which now it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. But
this is why you play on everything. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't win. I mean, I'll play it on PlayStation and then also on Xbox. But I think it's a great reason that that's happening, because like, that's one of the classic games. Like, if you were like Travis, top 5 games that would probably appear in my top 5, but it's kind of unplayable now. It's hard to get through.
It is dated. Yeah,
it is so dated, and there's just so many mechanics where you're like, all right, everything about the story and the style of gameplay and where it was in the lexicon of like the Western RPG history is like perfect. But if you go and play it, unless you're playing it on the mobile phone, it's hard to actually get through it. Mobile phone, it feels fine because you're like, oh yeah, this is like a mobile game. It feels like mobile games today. But if you try to play it on Xbox through backwards compatibility, even with the frame rate increases, it's just like, damn, like the animations are so stale. The gameplay is. So I'm interested to see how much they change the combat style, if it'll still be like semi-turn based or kind of what they'll do with it. But yeah, dude, I was so on my feet about this. I think I missed the 2 announcements after. I was just like, because there's been so many rumors about this Knights of the Old Republic remake, but it's also been happening for like 20 years. So I just ignore it. Anytime I hear like Knights of the Old Republic remake, I'm like, yeah, that's fake. Like, there's just no way that's coming. So I guess the rumors are right this time. But yeah, that's the team that's making it is pretty talented at porting Star Wars experiences. So
that's actually what I was going to ask you guys too. One is, obviously, do you share my excitement for this? And I think sounds like you guys do. But the other thing is, BioWare and Obsidian are not involved, right? So it's Asper Media. Yeah. So Asper Media. So it sounds like you're more confident than I would have been in them bringing this experience forward.
Yeah, Aspire is like this is sort of what they do. I'm trying to remember which games, but they basically have ported other Star Wars properties before.
Jedi Knight 2. I know they did.
That's right. Yeah.
I think did they do Republic? I think they did Republic Commando.
They brought it over to the Switch. They've never really done like a full-on remake. It's mostly just been porting stuff. They actually did KOTOR for like Android systems, like so you could play it on your phone.
So they did I got it right here, guys. They did Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Republic Commando.
Yeah So they've ported a lot of the Star Wars games, which I mean, just to piggyback of all this stuff, like I'm definitely excited for this because I love KOTOR. I love KOTOR 1, KOTOR 2. But I'm not gonna lie, I am a little cautious about everything just based off the nature that Aspire, all they've done is just been porting the games to mobile platforms and to other systems. And It'd be one thing if it was like Blue Point, when Blue Point ported games like PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, you saw like a lot more enhancements than just like a simple port. There was like frame rate bumps. They went back and touched up the graphics. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because, we saw what Blue Point was able to pull off with Shadow Colossus and Demon Souls. And the way Aspire's been talking about this game and how they're actually, I believe they said they're hiring BioWare devs, anyone who worked on this project, anyone who has a love for this project. So It's more than just like, hey, we have this license, let's work on it. It's like, no, let's get down to the roots of what KOTOR is. That's what gives me a little bit of hope. But, it all comes down to seeing the game in action, the gameplay. I do want to see what they are going to do. One of my biggest pitches, especially after I played the Final Fantasy VII Remake, is I would love to see that style of gameplay for KOTOR, where you have the different characters, like how Cloud plays differently than Aerith versus Tifa versus Barrett versus Yuffie, and you can still slow it down and do your abilities. So there is some type of strategy attached to it. If they can manage that with KOTOR, I think it'd be really cool. But if they decide to go for more of like a Mass Effect 1 style, where it's you can play it as a shooter, and then slow it down and give your enemies commands and stuff like that, I think it'll work as well. But I'm really curious to see how they handle the story, because when it was first announced, I remember seeing something online that this was going to be a part of the new Star Wars canon, because this is a new
it has to be.
Yeah, but another thing I heard, and this is from like a lot of people who are deep into Star Wars, they were saying that, well, this is going to be separate from the canon, where they're going to modernize it, but they're not going to act as if, okay, we're going to add it to this canon where this character could show up in like the next Star Wars movie. And that's what bothers me, because I just need a confirmation. Like, is this going to be its own separate thing with the same story, or is it going to be something different? Like, that's kind of what bothers me, because I mean, like you said, Ains, how this is one of the best Star Wars stories out there. I think it's the best mainstream Star Wars story we've ever gotten. Like, the movies are cool and everything, like, but again, the best Star Wars stories that we've gotten are
you're hurting Travis. You're hurting him.
Listen.
Weddings.
Just because the nature of it being an RPG and how they are able to do a lot more than just like a 2-hour movie. Like, obviously they're still great movies, but just the depth of what we got with the characters in KOTOR, to me, like, that's what matters more, and building the universe and the lore. And that's what I'm excited to see brought back, but I don't know if they're going to change some things. Is it going to be straight to the point? And I mean, they're bringing back a lot of the old voice actors, that leads me to believe it's going to be the same thing. But yeah, it's all I could say as far as like the exclusivity is concerned, and it comes down to everything. If you want to play those games, you got to own the console. And sure, it could just be a year exclusivity and go elsewhere, but the way PlayStation's been playing recently,
it's also on PC though.
That's another thing too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little easier. Yeah.
So there are a couple comments here kind of relating to this, right? So Luke's saying the same thing about Aspire, and I said Asper earlier, but Aspire, they're decent at ports, but remakes, because this is a full remake from what they've heard, and which is touched on that. And Big Nesh says the same thing. I really hope that's not the case. They F up the canon and lore, I'm out, which I think is probably how a lot of people feel. I think they're pretty attached to that story and the memories of it. And then Dan, you went to super chat.
Yeah, rumors about the story being touched up as well. From Fat Boy Horror, £5 super chat. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So if I can talk as a Star Wars aficionado here.
Oh boy.
I'm the most. So I'm currently caught up on the Star Wars canon, meaning I've read or consumed everything that is part of the current canon in Star Wars. And Disney is a extremely strict guardian of the Star Wars canon. They're basically the opposite of George Lucas. George Lucas was just like, do you have like 2 nickels to rub together? I'll let you make a Star Wars story. And then I'll decide if it's canon later, because I'm God apparently in this universe. And like, Disney takes the opposite approach, where they're really careful about who they give permission to make canon. But the guy who wrote a lot of the old stuff and like canonized like Darth Revan and Darth Bane and those sorts of things, he's actually already recanonized Darth Revan in some of the EU books. So Darth Revan is already like a known quantity. Like, we know that he or she existed at some point and was like a major Sith, but we don't know like what their role was. They always keep it vague because of the way that the video game works. So I think the like Revan existing and what's happening in Knights of the Old Republic, there's no way Disney would let it happen if it weren't part of their canon. I can just tell you that right now. Like, it's going to be canon. But the reason that they'll keep it in a pocket universe is because of the fact that you can make different decisions. And they've actually done this before in different Star Wars games where there's decision making, is they go like, okay, maybe this happened or maybe this happened. And so they keep it as like a legend, because you never know the truth, because if they gave you a right answer, then they would have to pick like, you know, which one was
they would have like a definitive thing to work off from.
Exactly. So it'll always exist like in canon as something that happened, and also like an open question because of the decisions that you can make. So I think that's why there's like a little bit of murkiness, but like absolutely it's going to be canon. The other thing about the team Aspire, like I understand they're unproven. They also haven't had much of a budget as a company. And now they've got like Disney saying work on this remake, and also presumably PlayStation giving them money to flesh out their team. So I think, you know, with a game like this, the story and the characters and all of that, they're not going to change the core points. Like they would never do that. And I don't know if Disney would even let them, because even Disney understands how beloved the Old Republic setting is. They've you know, Kathleen Kennedy has like talked about it at Star Wars Celebration and stuff, and like the possibility of doing like movies and shows in that timeline. So I think they know that. And with all that going for them, really the only thing that they have to nail is gameplay. And Knights of the Old Republic already had a crappy gameplay when it came out. Like that was the one thing everybody was sort of like, so like in my mind, there's really not a lot they can mess up. And there's a lot of potential to improve in terms of the way it looks, in terms of some of like the fetch quest stuff. Because let's be honest, that game had a ton of padding.
Sure.
Like you try to different worlds and doing like collectathons and stuff. So I don't see a lot of ways it can be worse if they keep the characters in the story and then just try to improve the gameplay. The worst they could do is not improve the gameplay, and then it would basically be the same game modernized. So I'm pretty optimistic about this. Like I think they have a ton to work with, and it's really their game to mess up, in my opinion. And I don't think they're going to, just because I have seen like Disney is really, really strict about how they handled this IP. And I think they wouldn't give it to this company unless they believe that they could put out something good. And
if anything, I mean, I feel like Disney, they want the last thing you want is another Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. You know, because you can tell after Battlefront 2 imploded, you can tell that there were some calls being made. And I guess that's part of the reason why they decided not to go for an exclusive publisher deal for the Star Wars license. And they're just farming it out to whoever wants to work on it. So, I mean, they had Fallen Order. I think they've done a better job of like handling the video game side of it. I think Disney's always struggled with like the video game side of their properties, but like Star Wars is one they know they can't mess up, because there's just like a history there. Like Star Wars video games have been around forever. Some of them where you play an Ewok that kills Emperor Palpatine. Oh, speaking of Palpatine, I wanted to throw that in when you referenced how this used to be a Microsoft exclusive and now it's becoming a PlayStation exclusive. All I could think of is a Palpatine line where he was just like, ironic. Just like ironic.
All right, Dan.
Guys, I mean, I love Star Wars, love KOTOR. I have no problem.
I bet you don't like most of the movies of Star Wars.
No, I listen. I saw every one of those movies in the theater. He
was there with George Lucas. What you talking about?
I was there. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So
I saw him in the old school photos.
Childhood friends.
In the photos. No, I mean I'm super excited for this game. This is when I saw it. I mean, yeah, that was immediately. I was like, it can't go. It's got to go downhill from here. The rest of the show, and you know, we'll talk about that later. But it was something that I thought maybe in production. You know, we kind of heard rumors here and there, but just the confirmation was fantastic. As far as what they're going to do with the story, I have no idea. I have no idea how Aspire is going to take care of this game. I just want them to do a good job, you know? So, I mean, I'm not worried about it, but at the same time, you know, I have no idea what to expect because we haven't seen anything from them aside from the ports. So, you know, but they've got, like you guys said, they've got the financial backing. They've got, you know, it seems like the passion to do it. So just in whatever 3 or 4 years, whenever it comes out, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it could be a ways out.
Yeah,
we
hell knows.
They presumably too. PlayStation does a really good job of cross support across their studios and products, right? So, like, I would assume that if they need some support for animations or character models or lighting, all these different aspects that go into games, PlayStation has, the talent to kind of help them, and they're very good about that. That's why their first party games kind of have this template because they work together well. So, we'll see.
One more comment. Fat Boy Horror says, as an aficionado, you should know that they retconned the Old Republic with the High Republic. That's not true. The High Republic takes place 200 years before the events of the Star Wars films, and the Old Republic takes place thousands of years. And writers for Star Wars have said that they both exist. They're just separate parts of the Star Wars canon. So
I thought they retconned all that stuff before that.
Well, they technically retconned everything that was in the EU, and then they started rebuilding it. But the Old Republic has sort of already been recanonized through like old writers who wrote the old stuff, like rewriting it into the canon. So like if you read all of the EU books, like it sort of exists. But the Old Republic is definitely not retconned by the High Republic. They're two separate settings. The High Republic is just a new era of the Star Wars universe. And by the way, the content's actually good. Like I've read all the High Republic books. So
awesome.
Marchion Row is awesome. Anyway, that's my. I can talk about Star Wars.
You lost me a while
ago.
ago. I don't even know what's happening right now.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know.
So KOTOR.
Yes.
KOTOR's awesome. It's good. So that opened the show and opened on an extremely high note for me, and many it seems. So from there we went to Project Eve, which obviously a very different tone from Knights of the Old Republic. Personal thoughts on this one, guys, and we'll just do this for each game, right? Personal thoughts, just go around. So for me, it looked very kind of, I don't know the word to use, very stereotypical of a Japanese action game when it started. And then as they kind of went into it a little more, the trailer went on a bit, I started to enjoy it a little more. It looked like it had some Devil May Cry elements, maybe some Bayonetta elements, maybe some Dark Souls elements. And that's when it started to capture me a little bit. So this is one of those games where it's like, what we've seen of it looks interesting. It could be very good. I want to see more, but this is just kind of one of those games that was like, okay, that's cool. Like it didn't, wasn't a high or a low for me. So I'm interested to see more though. If they can kind of pull off some of the stuff, like I said, on those other franchises and kind of make it feel not just a straight Japanese action game, which just aren't for me, I'll be a little more interested.
See, I'm different. Those are right up my alley, bro.
Yeah, like, I know you like those.
You're gonna say this, Neo.
Yeah,
straight up, bro. Like you
always count on you.
The Bayonettas, the Devil May Cry, Nier Automata, like all that stuff, just injected into my veins. And when you have a banger soundtrack on top of that, I'm good. Because sometimes I just want like that 6 to 8 hour Japanese action game that's got a nonsensical story but dope combat, replay it multiple times for better rankings or things like that. And that's cool for me. I do want to see what else is there to this game, because one thing I've noticed a lot about Japanese games is while they're on a resurgence, we're kind of on the cusp of a renaissance. I've noticed a lot of them, like Tales of Arise, for example, they started to add in more. They started to modernize them to things that people have wanted without going too Western, if that makes sense. Do you guys remember there was that weird period from like 2010 to like 2014 where a lot of the Japanese games try to appeal to the West, like, the Resident Evil 6s and stuff. Very rough time. Very rough time. I'm so glad we're past that. But it's gonna be interesting to see if they do modernize this to an extent and what else they add in it. But other than that, I mean, it looks cool. The frame rate looks very rocky when I watched it. I went back and I watched the 4K version. It looked better. But I mean, it's still a ways off. Sure. I did hear this is coming from Korea. This is a Korean.
It is a Korean game. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that's always exciting to see more games from different parts of the world. So yeah, it looks cool.
Now from Korea.
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, Joe. Hope you're feeling better. You missed a super chat where Luke already got you before you got here, man. But
straight destruction. We're not even 5 minutes in, and that thing.
Yeah. Right up. Go ahead, Travis.
Oh, I was just gonna say I agree with everything you said. I think the JRPG genre is super underrated now, and more people should give it a try who are afraid of it, because like games like Tales of Arise, I think, have a broad appeal. I think the success of JRPGs is not just that they stop trying to take cues from Western, but that they've figured out, some of them anyway. Some of them have just not at all, which I would include Persona 5 in that. Sorry, Neo.
Hey, listen, it does not have an autosave system. I'm still.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. And your cat tells you to go to bed every other minute. But anyway,
let's not do that today.
Yeah, let's not do that today. I mean, I still like that game, but I rag on it. It bothers me.
I get it.
But I think their ability to succeed has been that they've kept what's true to them while also incorporating some like Western modernization that I think has a broader appeal. So give JRPGs another chance if you have historically not liked them. That's my advice. Because Tales of Arise is awesome, and I think this game's going to be pretty good too. But I honestly, with this one, I really don't know a lot about it because I was too busy gasping for air at the KOTOR reveal, and I missed this whole segment. I was just like online, like trying to figure out everything I can about Aspire and what was going on with this game. So I have no comment aside from JRPG's good.
Man was literally loosening his tie with that game.
So Dan, you're a big Nier guy as well.
Yeah.
Did this kind of hit those marks like you did for me?
Wait, what?
Oh, Dan loves Nier.
I love it.
Excuse me.
Okay, first off, yes, but now, man, I'm so confused now. I'm even more confused.
I tell Travis every week, stop trying to figure Dan out. Trust me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I thought out of all the games, Nier would probably be the last one. But you know what? Dan, you're my man. I like it. Dan the man. Let's go.
No, I feel like Dan is the type of person where if you asked him to name his top 5 games, he would only have 4.
That's probably true.
And all the rest would be on his hate list.
It's like, hey guys, Dan here. Give me all my top 4 games.
Yeah, top 4 games.
That's one of the best. That's one of the best comments you've ever made, Travis. That's great.
Oh man, no. Here's the thing. It looks great. Looks really fun. Don't be Souls-like, and I'm good. That's it. I'm that simple. That was my worry when I started watching this stuff. I was like, please don't be Souls-like. I can deal with Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. I love those games. I just cannot deal with Souls-like crap anymore. I'm done with it.
Surprised you like Devil May Cry, huh? Like even 5?
It's good times, man.
Yo, I like this man with more. I like this man more with each and every passing day. How can I say that?
There's definitely games.
My opinion of him also changes each and every day.
I don't
the opposite reason.
Happy love story. That's all.
G-Man is the rest of us personified. Stop trying to put my man Dan in a box, and then 1 minute later, I take it back, Dan. So. Welcome to my life, G-Man. Welcome to my life. No. Dan is very particular with his games, and we know that.
Peculiar. I think you got
peculiar
it right.
is another word.
Peculiar. I love it.
And that Floyd says no one puts Dan in a corner, which is also true. True.
Nope.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. Dan the man.
Then we moved into Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which I am very, very excited for. We got to see more of it, which is nice. We got to see kind of the overworld, and a lot of information came out about this game after the show. So this is definitely diving much more into the RPG elements, which I like a lot. For instance, you're going to have skill points for things like dexterity, constitution, strength, like a proper RPG. There's going to be armor, looting, abilities such as that. There's magic, obviously, they showed in the thing. And I was thinking, obviously they're sharing a lot of assets here with Borderlands 3, right? And some of the looting and all that stuff, which makes sense. Gun designs, things of that nature. But I really, really like what we're seeing out of this game. The date, by the way, is March 25th. We have a final launch date for that, which, comes at a pretty good time, I think, for me. But what do you guys think? I know, Travis, you're a big Borderlands guy like me, man. What do you digging this?
Hell yeah. But I love Borderlands. 3 was not my favorite game in the franchise. It just it felt like the games industry had sort of outgrown that, because they were like the original looter shooter, but now you've got lots of games that mix looter shooter and
they didn't evolve it enough.
Yeah, they didn't evolve it enough. But if there's one thing that Borderlands is good for, it's like a funny story with over the top stuff and like Tiny Tina is like one of the standout characters of the Borderlands franchise, and that expansion was one of the best things that happened to Borderlands. So yeah, that was like the perfect way to end Borderlands 2, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm a game master of tabletop RPGs. Some people will know I was GMing just last night. I had some people in my living room, so I'm very excited for this game, just because it's going to have a lot of I think Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing references. So very excited for that. And yeah, the over-the-top style. I just really hope that they either go one way or another, right? Either it's they're not even trying to go the looter shooter route, because this is a separate thing, which I'm kind of interested in seeing them do that a little bit, or they do the opposite, where they make it sort of like a Borderlands pre-sequel. It's sort of like another offshoot game like that one was. But if they do that, then I'm going to have the same issues, where I think they need to modernize certain things to keep it up with how the looter shooter genre has evolved since they invented it, right? They invented it, but it's sort of outgrown the Borderlands franchise, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. Everything I saw looked great. I kind of, every time that game comes on, I like listen to it, but I try to look away because I don't want to see too much. But yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, so a couple good points in the chat here. And Vault Boy Mitchie, good morning, everyone. Yeah, so as Jordan said here, Borderlands 3 really succeeded mechanically. Combat and movement felt great, which is true.
Yes, 100%.
And I think that goes back to kind of emphasizes the point that Travis was making, whereas if they can kind of evolve the actual, not the mechanics, because the mechanics are great, right? Evolve the way it's approached, and really dive into Tiny Tina in the vein that we saw with that expansion, right? And kind of how they set up bunkers and badasses, you know, as the game they were playing at the time. I think this will be really, really good. So
also the main characters, that was another thing that 3 didn't really grapple with me, is the characters you play as. They've always sort of been like faceless, but I didn't really get into any of the ones in the Borderlands 3 game. So I hope that the main characters you play in this game are at least more interesting or better developed.
So I could be wrong, and anyone correct me. I could have sworn they said you create your character in this one.
Nice.
So yeah,
that's probably going to be generic then. But yeah, that sounds right for like a D&D game. You create
right if you're building the RPG elements. I don't think it has the same type of just character with skill tree as we saw in the other Borderlands. It's a shame Leo's not in the chat. Our buddy Leo on GPTB, he's a nut with this stuff. He follows every little detail. So. But anyway, Neo, you into these games, man? Borderlands?
So here's the thing. I guess you could say I did love Borderlands. I loved Borderlands 2 so friggin' much. Like, I love that game to the point where I got a copy of it on Vita just because I was like, yo, I want to see how this plays on a handheld. No.
Not good.
Not yet. No, we were a few years too soon for the portable Borderlands experience, but I really love Borderlands 2. And then after a while, I guess I kind of fell out from the franchise. There was this period in time going into the PlayStation 4, Xbox One generation where all of my co-op buddies that we used to run things with on 360, we just went in different directions for games. Some people started getting into stuff like Destiny, and that's all they played. Some people just stuck with Call of Duty. So the idea of like, yo, let's buy this game, we're all going to squad up and play it, it just wasn't a thing. So I didn't really mess with the pre-sequel until I got it on sale for cheap on PS4. But unfortunately, I did most of that experience solo because, you know, most of my crew was out. So I was like, okay, Borderlands 3 is coming out. I'm probably not going to get that. This one, though, I am extremely excited about it because just in the past year and a half, I've met so many new people and all they do is run all these games. So it gets me excited that I have people who can play this stuff. And everything I saw from it as someone who really didn't follow much of it, like I've seen the trailers. I think the first one they showed off was it at the Summer Games Fest show last year?
Game Awards?
Something like that, yeah.
It was something
it was one
Jeff
of those.
Keighley. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, it looks kind of cool. And then I saw this trailer and it looked like, in my words, chaotic fun. And that's all I'm going for with this. So if you were to ask me about like, oh, what do you think about this in terms of how it relates to the franchise? I wouldn't know. But it looks like a nice fun time, in my opinion. That's like my old Dan man type of saying. It looks like a great old romp, bro. Just a great old romp.
Right. I wasn't going to use those words. All right.
Got a channel.
Darn. I really wish I could.
God darn. Now you're.
Man, I know you're a Borderlands guy, man. You in on this?
100%. Yeah, I mean, anything they put out with anything Borderlands, and Tiny Tina is great. Everything that you guys said is pretty much spot on. It looks amazing. I'm ready for it. Let's just get it out. Because
what do you think of 3?
It was not the best one. It was good. I mean, they did a good job kind of supporting it. I think going on, but it was 2 is my favorite. It always will be. It's hard to
Handsome Jack was just so good.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Absolutely.
I met that guy. He did a stream at the IGN office where he was playing all of the Borderlands game all day and streaming it as Handsome Jack.
Nice.
He's hilarious. It was like literally like 2 feet away from my desk, so I could just hear him just talking crap like all day, like teasing people on the stream. It was amazing.
I think with 3, they tried to capitalize on like modern social media culture, and it just kind of came off flat.
I think it could have worked. I just think the writing wasn't very good.
It wasn't very good.
Those villains were just not interesting to me. That was kind of the main.
They were more annoying than interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. They kind of played into Handsome Jack in the expansions, to try and kind of probably generate that for the fan base. But
they should have done that from the beginning. I think they should have just brought him back, because you're never going to beat him. It's like, you created Darth Vader, and it's like, all right, well, what comes after that? Like, you can't really top it. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, but anyway, March 25th looks good. I'm pumped for it. Hopefully, we can get a crew playing and looting together. It'd be fun. So, all right. So this is one of the most strange ones for me at the show, and I've seen a lot of mixed thoughts on this one. Is Forspoken. So Forspoken is this new game coming out. We saw it last year. I think it was last year for the first time, right? And then we saw more gameplay this time. They kind of did this voiceover with it this time, as kind of role playing as this lead character, right? This one for me is very mixed. There are parts of it they show where I'm like, wow, that looks really cool, right? Some of the abilities, some of the combat, and then there's other aspects where I'm like, wow, this looks really poor. And I've got this really weird dichotomy of how I feel about what this game could be. And then I saw, some people saying, well, this has Gary Whitta writing it, and Amy Hennig's involved and stuff, and I'm like, well, Amy Hennig came out and said, yeah, she consulted on the game very early, but that was before she left for this other company. So it's not like this is an Amy Hennig game, right? She just happened to be a consultant early on. So I don't know. I'm weird on this one, guys. I've talked to some people who said this looks fantastic. I've talked to others who say they have no interest at all. I'm kind of in the middle on this one. Where are you guys at?
So I'm really excited for this game. Everything about it, I really dig. I love the fact that it's like an isekai story set in a modern day, because most of the isekai stories, basically where you get transported to another world, most of the time it's always like, things that are period pieces. So I like how it's just like a modern flair. I mean, she's over there just dropping like F-bombs, like, what the hell, what's going on here? But I think the biggest problem I do have with what they've shown is that they do it in like all these sizzle reels. So we can't really get a grasp of what this game is. We see the traversal where she's running through the forest. She's jumping on the mountains, doing the loop-de-loops like she's Sonic the Hedgehog. We see that, and that looks cool. But every time we see the gameplay, it's just in like flash scenes. Like, here's this Doctor Strange mystic art. Like, here's that. And it looks great. Graphically, it looks fantastic. But I just want to see what is an average play session of Forspoken, And one of my biggest fears is the fact that, because this is going to be an open world game from what we're seeing. Yeah. I'm kind of worried because Square Enix's track record on these big budget open worlds is not the greatest. Final Fantasy 15 was an open world because they needed to have an open world. It didn't add much to the experience. And in fact, it was a detriment because you're spending all this time driving around for no reason. So that's one of my biggest fears. You're just in this world because you have to be in the world, and they're going to use the traversal as a means to be like, hey, look, see, you can traverse the open world with our mechanic. I don't know. So that's my biggest deal. I just want to see what is the core gameplay loop like. Is it going to have side missions? What are the bosses going to be compared to? That's what I want to see more of. I'm excited from what we've seen so far. I dig it, but I need to just put us with 8 minutes of footage. None of this, like, because the game is coming out in March, like spring, not March, but
they said
around
spring.
Spring.
They said spring.
Yeah, so it's not that far away when you really think about it, and we haven't seen concrete, just standalone footage. That's my biggest fear.
No, it's true. And funny, Jordan says, Neo, the sizzle reel is the MO of Japanese trailers, which is kind of true. But
yeah, but I mean, most of the time, like when you see those things done, you can do it for something like Devil May Cry, because we know what Devil May Cry is going to play like. So we can see that. But this is a brand new IP, and it's just, I don't know. We just need a deep dive.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And to your point, if it's actually coming out in spring, realistically, they should be in polishing stage right now, which means they could do a kind of vertical slice of a campaign segment, to your point, to show what is actually happening here. Funny enough, a couple people in chat already saying they're cautious because it's from Square Enix. I think confidence. Yeah, I think confidence in Square Enix has kind of waned for some.
I don't get it.
I'm just telling you, that's not the first time I heard that.
15,
and yeah.
It started with 13 and that whole saga, and then 15 was a big blunder in so many ways. And then to a lesser extent, Kingdom Hearts 3, even though I don't think it was as bad as 15, for a lot of people who've been waiting 15 years for that story's conclusion, it's like,
the story.
What? Yeah, exactly. The story that only happens in the last 3 hours of the game, mind you. So I totally get it, you know? I mean, for Final Fantasy 16, I don't think so, because the people working on that game are separate from the people that did 15. But yeah, I totally get the reservations. I get it.
Yeah, it's mostly it's probably the Avengers.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't look great by any stretch of the imagination.
You don't like blonde Peter Quill?
No,
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, but
that's coming.
Anyway, yeah, I think I understand the reservations. This game, to me, is gonna hinge on, how is the gameplay mechanics compared to the story that they're trying to tell. Like I don't need some kind of coming of age story that I just don't care. Now if that's like takes a background to some really good gameplay mechanics, great. That's what I want. I want to and then have your story and whatever it is that's happening to this person. So we'll see how it is. I'm optimistic, cautiously, I guess. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, to your point, Neo, I think that would probably go a long way to show 8 minutes of just gameplay, and then you just go from there. So we'll see.
And as you were speaking and saying spring too, it occurred to me that we haven't even gotten to all the games, so spring is already loaded.
Dude.
Like we're talking about Elden Ring is basically right at the end of January, so that's February. Then you've got Horizon. Then you've got there's something.
Sifu comes out, I think, that same week.
That same week, there's a game right after that too, after Horizon. I forget, they got pushed to February 25th. A big one I'm forgetting, but you've got Gran Turismo 7 now.
If it hits.
We know how Gran Turismo is. We've got Forspoken. There's just a lot.
Tiny Tina.
Tina's March, as well. So there's a lot. But anyway, Jordan, Jordan. I'm looking at chat. Travis, where you at on Forspoken, man?
I'm really trying not to get this game confused with Avowed. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're both like words I feel like I'd hear at a wedding. Like
exactly.
I don't know. Yep. But like I'm getting their names confused. I think I'm a wait and see on this one. I liked what they showed. I was like, all right, this is interesting. I've not seen anything like this. Squeenix is really good at making like very original games at the very least. So I'm sure it'll be entertaining. But yeah, I'm a wait and see on this one. I think it'll probably be good. I also think it'll probably be delayed. I don't think it's coming out in spring. Hear about it just now. I don't, with all the other stuff Sony has coming in spring and Xbox's stuff coming in spring, there's just lots of I don't think it's coming in spring. That's my personal thought. Yeah,
and this is one where Sony,
dang, that dog is really liking that water.
Going to town, isn't he?
Straight up.
That's actually Dan's kid. He feeds him.
This is one where PlayStation has a year or two exclusive
for what? Forspoken?
Forspoken,
yeah. And if it's anything like Final Fantasy VII Remake, y'all.
I didn't even know Final Fantasy Remake was ever coming to Xbox. I still
all they said was 1 year exclusive, really? But they never.
So here's
confirmed.
Here's the thing. I have a prediction.
Go for it.
So there was a year exclusivity for the base game Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then they came out with the Intergrade DLC back in June. And that DLC's exclusivity is 6 months. So from what it sounds like, I think that's the last of the DLC. They're not going to do anything else. They're going to be working on the full game. Part of me is thinking when that 6 months is up from the DLC, they're going to repackage it and sell it on other platforms. Maybe Xbox, most likely PC. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something at the Game Awards like Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade coming to PC and it's available today or in March or something like that. That's my prediction.
I'd kind of be surprised if it didn't come to Xbox just because.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Final Fantasy has, like, all of them have been on Xbox except for 14 because of that whole crossplay situation. But, like, I think I'd be surprised if it hasn't, because you can play the original Final Fantasy on Xbox. You can play all the other mainline Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, they've brought them all over.
Yep, they got every single game with the exception of like one or two, the older titles. But that's 10? Not even.
You play Final Fantasy X?
Yeah, they just added it to Game Pass a few weeks ago.
It's on Game Pass, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. The funny thing is, by the time this probably does come over, Final Fantasy 16 will be coming, and that's exclusive to PlayStation for a year plus. They've already nailed that down too.
Yep.
So yeah,
they got that Japanese market, man.
They do. So speaking of Japanese market, here's another one which is throwing me for a loop: is Ghostwire Tokyo. So Ghostwire Tokyo is from Tango.
I don't know what that game is.
This is the point. It's from Tango. Evil Within, in my opinion, was very good. It was like a return to classic Japanese horror. I thought those games were excellent. You know, you've got Shinji Mikami over there, right? I mean, you've got talent, you've got knowledge. They announced this game, and I'm like, oh man, Shinji, Tango, you know, Japanese horror, let's get it. And every time they show this game, I get less enthusiastic about it. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to be. It doesn't look interesting. It doesn't look scary. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I can't be alone in this, right?
Bro, your guess is as good as mine. Like, it's just too fast for me, bro. I'm like, wait, what is going on? He's got powers. There's a sword.
Faceless people. There's
I don't know. I really don't. Those are just all the words I have. Like, I'm sure it'll be fun, but I just don't know what this game is gonna be.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Again, it's almost worse than the Forspoken thing. It's like we keep seeing this game, but nothing tells us what this is really about, really.
I was calling it. I was reversing the words in the name for like a good year until I actually
Tokyo Ghostwire.
Yeah, I was calling it Tokyo Ghostwire, and I was like, dude, it's Ghostwire Tokyo. I was like, oh. And nobody corrected me for a whole year. I think that's very telling, man. Like,
they're like, we know what he's talking about, but we don't know what it is either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The problem is we've seen more of this game than we have, I think, any other game that was shown aside from GTA 5. But like this is the one that we've seen the most of and we know the least out of. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and I have no idea what
really.
It is,
That's the weirdest thing you've ever seen. The show
it's the weirdest
like
thing.
A 5-minute chess trailer. I still don't know what that was.
I know what that's all about. I know what that's all
what
about.
Trailer?
I know what that's all about.
Okay, so you guys are jumping all the way back to the beginning.
I'm sorry, I had
the advertise. That's an ad. That wasn't a trailer.
Was that?
Oh, that was a commercial.
That was a commercial. It's twofold. There's a double entendre meaning. So first things first, it's chess, right?
Yeah,
I got that part.
You know, it's chess. Exactly. It's chess. But you know, it's also symbolic because PlayStation, they're not playing checkers. They're playing chess.
Oh, God.
That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Wait, so that's what you've got.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
They're playing chess. It takes a certain level of intellect. I know it's a little too early in the morning for y'all, but I've been up since 6 a.m. brainstorming this. And then also something that's more tangible. If you guys look, they're hiding a lot of, and it's not even a joke, they're hiding iconography of other games there. Like someone just uncovered today that there was Resident Evil 4 iconography, which a lot of people are speculating that may be the Resident Evil 4 remake possibly being timed exclusive. Obviously, it's a stretch. It could just be an Easter egg nod, but weirder things have happened.
Who knows?
Yeah, but it was way too long, man. I was like, is this a PlayStation Home revival? What is this, bro?
Yeah, remember I told you I started this after it was live, so I had no idea. And I'm watching it. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, is this an ad or what? You know?
Yeah. The problem was right before it started, it said captured on a PlayStation console. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh, it did?
Yeah, right. That's the first thing it showed, and I was just like, damn, this is
I was
super
like, so
realistic.
this is a game?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
These
but
people
yeah.
look real. Wow.
Yeah.
All I gotta say, Neo, if this is PlayStation playing chess, they're playing a weird game. They're leaving their queen undefended. They're moving their knights around haphazardly, and I'm just like, what is
how
this?
they do, bro. That's how they do. They're
do
psyching
it.
you
Yeah,
out. They're
shut-
psyching you out.
shut you
This is like, why do you think they're working Kojima? 4D chess.
They're 9 moves
Wow.
ahead.
Wow. I believe that they believe that. I'm
Exactly.
100%. Yes, 100%. So, Ghostwire, Travis.
I don't know what this game is. Every time I see it, it looks
That's
different.
4
and
for
I'm
4.
Yeah,
4
I
for
just
4.
don't know what it is, but I'll play it. Sure.
I think we can all agree. We'll figure it out by making Dan stream it.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
No, but that looks right up your alley in terms of being a game and you play the game. You don't have to worry about like exposition. I feel like that might be up your alley.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have no idea what it's called. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah. No idea.
we've got some really cool comic games to talk about. But before we get there, we'll talk on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm.
Bro.
I'm hating on this game. Is it just because he's blonde?
No,
He's
no.
originally blonde.
I
Mostly,
personally don't care, so I'm going to let you guys go because I have no interest in this, even a little bit. I'm
All
full
right.
Dan on this one. So
Okay,
you
so
guys
here's
go.
the thing. I got no problems with them doing Guardians of the Galaxy game. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but my whole shtick is I just don't like the way this game looks, man. It looks off-putting. Like when they first showed off the game at E3, I was like, "Oh, this looks pretty cool. I can't wait to play this game in like 2023." And they said that thing is going to be out in 5 months. I was like, "Nope." Something's going wrong. But I mean, they did instill some confidence. They said it's not a live service game, it's purely single player. I don't really like the idea that you only play as Star-Lord versus
Funny you
everybody
say that.
else.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. HR Bomber knows it. I
Yeah.
hate that all you play as is Star-Lord, and that kind of sucks. I mean, basically, it's just like, what are they going to map the other Guardians' abilities to the
Well, you
D-pad?
use
or,
teamwork, right?
Yeah, you
Like,
can issue
abilities,
commands.
yeah.
And that's what kind of bothers me. And then it kind of goes again with the whole Avengers thing, where it's like, I'll just be honest, it looks like bootleg Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, there's so many.
Are you
different
just reading the
designs.
comments as we go here?
Not even. Oh my god! What the? I do not even have the chat pulled up here. What the? My fault is down. Holy. Yo, wow. But see, same sentiment. I mean, it looks like you saw what Marvel did with Spider-Man and how it's different, but that's their own thing. And you buy it, you believe it, and then you go over to this, and you're just like really, y'all could have done so much more. But I mean, I'm sure the game will be fine. But I just like Deus Ex was sacrificed for this. No one in the comments said that, so I got ahead of the game.
Don't remind me of that, man. Don't remind
I
me.
agree
of
with that part. That's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but I think people are being overly harsh on this game. Like, for one, all the Square Enix Avengers or Marvel games have sort of used the traditional look of the characters from the comics. Like Star-Lord looks more like he does from the comics and less like the MCU. And I think they're doing that intentionally to distance from some of the stuff that happens in MCU, just because like you're not going to live up to that, and you're not going to pay Chris Pratt like $5 million or however much he takes to, record VO for it or mocap or anything else he'd have to do. So I think it's kind of like a lose-lose when you're making this world. Like, people want to play it, but they also have expectations of like, oh, this better be the MCU. It better be like the characters I know. And I kind of like that they're not doing that, because you're never going to live up to that. So just like go your own way. I think it's good that they're doing that. And I think that everything we've seen so far, it looks cool. It looks fun, over the top. The rhythm-based combat I really like. How he's putting on his headphones and hitting things. I think people are being a little harsh on this one, but you never know until you play it. I'm not gonna defend a game I haven't played, but like I still am interested in giving it a try. It looks like a good time. If the writing is good, if it's funny, I'll like it.
Yeah, the Marvel fan in me wants to play it, so I'll probably check it out. So I'm hoping and praying it's good. I mean, it's Eidos Montreal, so they're really good with their narratives.
Yeah.
So I think it might be one of those situations where what we see in the trailers is not representative of how deep the dialogue is, because I feel like if you watch the trailers, because I showed this trailer to my sister, who her only interaction with Marvel stuff is the MCU, and she was just like, so they're making it like the movies then, because she heard the music being inserted and everything. She's like, yeah, that's like how in the movies how they had like old school tracks playing. I'm like, oh God, if this is her interpretation of it, then now I see why everyone is pissed off. You know,
Big
I will
Nash
say,
has
though,
it's
that
October
said-
20. Sorry, October 26th is when it releases. Real quick, go ahead.
That's
Yeah,
soon.
I was just gonna say the whole Deus Ex having to die for this. Like, yeah, I hate that too.
So,
that is good.
yeah, I was going to touch on that once we got to the big announcements at the end, because the one thing that, as someone who grew up liking comics and stuff, but I'm not super into these comic games.
Yes.
The one thing that kind of bothers me is when really strong video game IPs have to die so that we can get licensed IPs. And we're seeing that more and more. And I think we're going to see it more and more.
Yep.
And that to me is just a shame. Because it's like, I don't know. I get the fan service. Obviously, I get the sales aspect. I mean, it makes perfect business sense. I get it, but it's disappointing. Like, if you're going to put Guardians of the Galaxy next to Deus Ex 3, I mean, it's not even like, that's not even a conversation to me. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I agree.
I definitely have an issue with. I think I've talked about this like on every podcast I've ever been on, but I really have an issue with the games industry trying to parrot the movie industry and going like, oh yeah, we can be taken seriously too, and here's The Last of Us to show you that the video games are for adults, you know, and then they take out some of the stuff that is like uniquely video game. Like, you know, BioShock is a great story that you could never tell in a book or in a movie or in a TV show or anything. It has to be a video game, right? Knights of the Old Republic is actually another great example of that. It has to be a video game.
Speak on it.
Yeah. So I think both like the whole, you know, de-gamifying and trying to make video games more like movies is bad. And I think also trying to like inject existing IPs that are well-known movies or TV shows and make those video games. I don't think that that's like the future for video games. They have to have their own identity. They have to create unique stuff that makes you think like, wow, the video game industry matters and is important on its own. It doesn't have to attach itself to these other like more influential mediums, which like I like, are they more influential anymore? Like movies, definitely not. Like TV shows, I don't even know if that's true anymore. The video games are such a huge industry now. So I could talk about this topic all day, but yeah, I agree. The licensed situation. I mean, I'm also the guy who's gonna like cry tears of joy anytime they announce a new Star Wars game. So like I'm victim to this too. Like I also do this, but I'm not a fan of that trend at all.
You know, it's like our friends say over at Iron Lord Podcast, Travis. I think you're onto something because I mean, the older I get, I'm like this as well. So one of the last games I completed was earlier in the year was Yakuza Like a Dragon. Phenomenal.
Neo, I knew I loved you, man. You need to be on the show more.
Yes,
that was my game. That was my game of the year last year.
All four of us are on that same boat. All four of us love that game.
And Dan too?
Dan loves that game.
Dude, I'm a Yakuza freak.
Oh my
Dan is a Yakuza nut, Travis. That was
my people. Let's go.
Yeah, that was my game of the year. That game was fantastic.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was good.
I actually have every achievement in that game.
Oh, there you go.
Stop trying to flex with your achievements. No one cares. Okay.
I'm just saying, dude, those achievements are not easy to get. Like one of them, you have to do the
time
Millennium Tower.
Yeah, no, I know.
No, but flex those achievements. That's how he ended up. That's how he ended up with his girlfriend. That's how you do it. There you go. You think that tie is just for show? It's got a little achievement on the end of it. That's what it is. Nah, but in all seriousness, you simply can't put a label on Dan. That is true, Jordan. That's true.
I say this every week, and people just don't listen to me. I try to tell them.
So here's the thing. All right, so we're all in agreement. Yakuza Like Dragons, phenomenal, fantastic game.
Yes.
One of my biggest complaints, though, even though I loved it and I loved the story, it took me out of the experience way too many times because of the cutscenes. Some of those cutscenes went on for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I remember one cutscene was so long that my controller actually turned off. And like I said, the quality of the cutscenes is fantastic. It's a great story. But sometimes when I get into the mindset of playing a game, it's very different than when I'm watching a movie. So when I'm like ready and amped up to play a game, I'm feeling energetic, and I'm just sitting here watching a cutscene for 15 minutes. It takes me out. So I can see what you're saying. Like sometimes you want to blur the lines, like use the cutscenes when applicable to the story, but also make it its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Because all of the cutscenes in Like a Dragon would be a fantastic television drama. Fantastic. But when I'm playing the game, I'm wondering like, how does this really fit in? Because you go from the cutscenes back to the gameplay, and it's like, it's not like a nice balance where it's like, okay, you have your cutscenes, you have your gameplay, and they mesh together. Like the Star Wars example is perfect, Travis. You're not getting KOTOR in the movies, you know, in terms of the storytelling and in terms of how they tell the story. Very different from Empire Strikes Back. And that's, I think, what more people need to do instead of just being like, hey, we have this license, like John Wick. Like we can do a John Wick video game, but is it going to be the same adrenaline that comes from a John Wick movie? You know, it's got to be different, you know?
Yeah,
I
agree.
think that's fair. It's
Good way
one of the
to think
biggest
about
problem I have with a lot of Kojima games.
Oh,
God. Is it just
They are
it doesn't
movies.
do anything for me. If I want to watch a movie, I'll watch a movie.
Although, to be fair, they are weird movies that never would be made in Hollywood. They probably only could exist in video game industry. So I respect that.
By the way, Def Floyd reminds us that Lost Judgment is at the end of the month. A couple weeks away.
That's right.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. September 25th.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Saturday. It's 21st.
I don't know if you guys saw the news, but like apparently Yakuza is now switching to being their turn-based game that they're just going to continue with.
Which I like personally,
which I love. So like I think I'll play the Judgment games just to support the franchise, but like I'm gonna be a Yakuza like guy now. Like all of those game. I'm sad all the other 6 though that you can play on Xbox or whatever, they don't have English dubbing. That's like the one thing, because I wanted to go back and play all the other ones, and then I just got real sick of reading the subtitles.
What? You have to play those games in Japanese. What are you talking about?
Yakuza 0.
I played Yakuza Like a Dragon in English, and I was like, this is fantastic.
I'll say this much though. I will say this much though. The dub being included in these new Yakuza games, Yakuza Judgment, has done so much goodwill for the franchise, because people like Travis, Lord Cognito, many people I know, they played it English dub for the first time, and they said like, well, I'm not speaking for you, Travis, but most people like, if it was subtitles, I probably wouldn't play it just because of the nature of all the reading and getting immersed, because it's a different thing entirely when you're watching an anime with subtitles versus listening to it.
It also helps with, like, for me, the reason I have to, like, I watch a ton of anime. My girlfriend's like obsessed with anime, but we both really like the English dubbing because I can't feel their emotion if I don't understand the inflections. You know what I mean? Like if they're speaking English, I can understand, like, I kind of empathize with them more because they're literally speaking my language, right? And so I think it does open it up to a broader audience, and I would love to see them go back and add English dubbing for the old ones. But they have to continue doing it, right? Like in the future games.
It's going to be going forward, just because of the success of Judgment. Yeah, Yakuza, like, dude, I really want to see some sales figures for Like a Dragon, because I think they said it sold the fastest out of any mainline Yakuza game, which, I mean, it's not saying much, but that's still something good. And it's a great game, dude. I cannot wait for Yakuza 8. I need it.
I know, dude. I'm very excited.
So Dan, literally, like, for the past couple of years, Dan is our Yakuza stan. I mean, he's played, Dan, I don't want to speak for you, but you love and play them all. And I've always been the one who is like, I couldn't get into them. I tried and tried and tried, but Like a Dragon's the game that I've really adored.
Why did it change? It clearly wasn't the English dubbing.
No, I really do. I love the turn-based and the class-based stuff. It's more like a proper RPG to me, and I love that. Yeah,
and old school with the job system. Yeah,
there needs to be more turn-based RPGs. Why are developers so afraid of it when, like, all the ones that have come out recently are like kill it? Like, they made the turn-based RPGs were like dead, and then like South Park did the turn-based RPG and it was like amazing, and then that Yakuza's doing it. It's like, why are there not more? I don't know.
I think when people hear turn-based, they think of like the ones we played growing up, right? Like the ones that are like very slow moving, kind of click turn, click.
All of those.
I don't mind it either, but I'm saying like Yakuza did it really well. It's very fluid. There's a lot going on, and it works well together. I loved it.
And it's silly. That's like there needs to be more silly games. Like why do we have not that many comedy games? It's like Borderlands, Yakuza. Like there needs to be more comedy.
And here's another thing that I love the most, and I think Travis, you'll appreciate this a lot. There needs to be more JRPGs set in the modern day with an adult cast. Because here's the thing, as much as I love Persona, and I love this to death, y'all know this shrine, they have done all they can do with 16-year-old high schoolers. We've done it over and over again. let's bring it up to speed. Let's put them in college. Let's put them in the workforce. Tackle different things. Because yeah, I can relate to the
workforce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can relate.
No, dude, I'm with Neo. Like after watching anime and playing like Japanese video games, I was like, so in Japan, like after high school, do they all just disappear? Like they just don't have lives, or like why is every story set in I guess these dudes are just in high school their whole life. That's just
you know what it is?
The peak of existence in Japan.
Because my sister and I, she's a big anime fan as well. And we were talking about this because a lot of Japanese media, the reason why it's most of it is set in like childhood stuff. So like the Narutos and things like that, is because on some level, Japanese culture really wants to get back to that. They want to get back to reliving the glory days as children, and they don't want to face the real world and what you do as an adult. And when you look at the most popular anime, everything that's successful, everything, even if it has dark subject matter, like something like Death Note, it stars a kid in high school.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Danganronpa. Exactly. This murder game, the trials, you know, that stuff. It's insane. I love Danganronpa. I love it so much.
Me too.
Yeah,
Neo, man.
See, Dan, we're back. We're back to dating sim.
Whoa,
that's not no dating sim. No.
How dare you?
What am I mixing it up with? I'm mixing up something we talked about last week, Travis.
What you're talking about.
I forget.
It's more of a murder simulator than anything else.
It's a murder sim. Yeah, Danganronpa is like,
all right, calm down. All right,
I'll take great offense.
It's like Ace Attorney, but darker and not as good.
I can't remember the name.
Oh no, it's not as good as Ace Attorney. No, Ace Attorney.
What's the other dating sim you were talking about last week?
There's Boyfriend Dungeon.
God damn it, yo.
Give him again. Doki Doki Literature Club.
Maybe that's what I was mixing.
That's so I'm actually playing that game right now.
I saw Neo. I think it may have had something to do with that.
Dan, we gotta take back control of the show, man. We're losing it.
All right, let's move on to the next topic in the sense of keeping it sane.
Trying to talk about PlayStation Showcase. You see what happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Now we got to get back to Tachia, guys. Tachia.
I'm gonna give my quick comment on this game.
Chia seeds?
No. That's all I got to say. It's a hard pass.
I was gonna ask you guys if you had anything to say about it. I don't know.
I thought here's the funny thing. When they opened it up and I saw they do that guitar segment, I'm like, what is this, The Last of Us Kids edition? Kids Bop? That's what it is? Because it looks so similar, bro.
Kids Bop.
Bro, but honestly, it looks cool. It might be like an indie gem, an indie darling. We all play it, but I'm not gonna pretend to get excited, you know.
Yeah,
I actually thought it was cool. I'm interested in this one.
He's a hipster. Let him go.
Right? Yeah, you guys are yelling at us old guys.
Forgive me for liking video games largely. I'm sorry.
Let me. Can I just say we've been on this show for almost 90 minutes, and that was the most enthusiasm Dan has ever shown.
Yeah,
he said, "Of course you did.
Of course you did. Like a video game. How dare you?" I actually think this game looked really unique. Like for me, I'm really into like unique games that I haven't seen before, and this like the art style was unique, the setting and the types of characters were stuff I hadn't seen. I looked it up afterwards. Apparently, it's like a physics-based game, which it has like you jumping around and doing stuff. And I was like, if this is like an indie game that I can get for like $15-20 and play for a couple hours, like I'm down. It looked good. So again, I have to see more of it. But
it looked like a game that made me think PlayStation needs Game Pass. That's what it made it look like to me.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that's Game Pass fodder, sir? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you were saying?
Oh, the fodder word came out.
He brings up a good point, though. Like some games, you're like, oh, I'll play that if it's convenient and accessible. And if Sony still has a paywall in front of these games, they're just going to be less.
Well, and you just said popular. I mean, you just said if this is $15-20, right? If it comes out at $40, are you realistically buying it?
I'll probably just wait for it to come to Xbox and be on Game
exactly
Pass.
Right, and be on Game Pass. Exactly right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's obviously not a priority, but I like games like this that are something you kind of weren't expecting or like different than anything else you've seen at the show. I thought
lady in the chat's all about it. There you go. Yeah, think it was different for PlayStation. Think it looked cool.
Yep.
So
I'm with you, lady.
All right, let's get to the big stuff, guys. So to this point, like we started with Knights, and then in my opinion, they had like a huge lull. And I was like watching the show, and I'm like, really, what are we doing here? But then Herman comes out. Herman looking all sharp. Comes out and says, first party is key for us and creative experiences, blah, blah, blah. And then they go in the first party. So the first thing we get is the tease for Wolverine. Now, this obviously huge surprise. We don't know anything about it. There's a few Easter eggs in the trailer, right? But I mean, we don't know date, we don't know gameplay, whatever. But made by Insomniac, stating everything.
That's all we need to know. Made by Insomniac.
Yeah,
that's it, bro. Say
stating
less.
everything that stating everything that we all know already. But this is obviously huge. I mean, I don't really know what we say about this one, right? We doesn't matter when it comes out. It's going to be a monster of a game. It's very clear, and this is when I was going to bring up the whole thing about IPs. Like Insomniac has struck such a chord, right, with Spider-Man and done it so well. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of first party, Spider-Man is the best-selling PS4 game in its entire stretch. Mm-hmm. Miles, I think, is probably the best-selling PS5 game. And now you've got Spider-Man 2, which we'll get to in a second, and Wolverine. So I love this because I know that many of my friends, I'm the only one who's not overly excited. For Wolverine, I'm more excited. Spider-Man, not so much, but that's just me. I know this game is massive. So the only thing that bothers me is, I look at Insomniac and I think of things like Sunset Overdrive, and I think of Resistance, and I think of, all these IPs that they're sitting on. And the only concern I have is, does it mean these are just gone? Do we forget that Insomniac is going to make anything like this again? Because now they are the Marvel studio for PlayStation, which makes, again, perfect sense. It makes sense for the fans. It makes sense financially. I get it. It's just disappointing for me personally, but not to put a downer on Wolverine, because this announcement is fantastic. And the only thing I can say about it is I hope they do it full R, make it bloody, make it gory, make it Wolverine at his rawest. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think people are always shouting new IP, and I think for that to happen, some old franchises have to die. And to be honest, the ones that PlayStation has chosen to let die, I don't really feel like I'm going to miss. Like, I'm not going to miss Resistance, like, at all. Like,
okay. You shut your mouth, but go ahead.
Dude, there's plenty of shooters and there's plenty of sci-fis, and they're all better than Resistance. That's my review of the Resistance.
All right, calm down.
So,
okay.
I mean, aren't there like
what about shooters are out there besides like Destiny, Halo?
I mean, you just said two games that
that's
are
it, but that's it.
Resistance.
But they're better. They're better than. Well, Resistance was unique. It had charm. It was cool.
Dead Space shooter better than Resistance, third person, but still. I mean, like I the list goes on and on. I just, for me, I play the Resistance games and I was like, wow, these games all feel way behind the curve in terms of first person shooters, and it's not really what Sony does well. I think if they're going to make new IPs, obviously Wolverine is sort of not a new IP, but it, like, people are going to be excited. Also, there's like surprisingly not that many Wolverine games. Like, they're like all the X-Men games are like anthology, or not anthology. They're like ensemble games where there's like a whole bunch of characters you play as. So I think Sony's being really smart about which franchises they choose to kill. And, Infamous may not be around right now, but we've got Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, the stuff that they're giving us that's new is like fantastic. And I think they're playing their bets pretty smart. In terms of Insomniac now becoming like the Marvel studio, which it seems it's trending that way. Like, Disney loves them, and now they're sort of getting trusted with more and more franchises in there. That's not the most exciting to me, because I think Insomniac is really good about making weird new stuff that like we've never seen before. And again, the parroting the TV and movie industry is not like my favorite fad in video games, but I think they're chasing their success, and I'm happy every time I see Insomniac doing well, anytime I see their logo. So I will definitely be playing Wolverine.
Yeah, fantastic studio. And I think all of us agree, there's no doubt they're going to crush Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine, which is amazing. So where are you guys, Dan, Neo, Wolverine?
I mean, I'm excited for it, obviously. Anytime we get a a studio on the caliber of Insomniac to work on a licensed game. I know a lot of people don't like it. They feel like they could be doing something else, but we're getting legitimately good games out of it. That's something I think nobody can deny at the end of the day. Because I remember when Spider-Man was first announced, people were excited, but there was a good amount of people who said, really, like Insomniac could be, as you were saying before, and he's like, I would love a Resistance game. I would love something else. And at the end of the day, that's something that it's easy for us as the consumer to say that we want this, we want that, we want everything, but there's only a finite amount of time and a finite amount of resources available to do everything. Like, I would love if BioWare was at their prime to work on Mass Effect and at the same time work on KOTOR and at the same time work on Dragon Age and at the same time work on this. Like, it just is what it is. So you got to pick and choose. But the great thing I love about Insomniac is that for the most part, I mean, honestly, they're the only PlayStation studio that really doesn't abandon much of their franchises. Like, they still make Ratchet and Clank games. We just got Rift Apart. And who's to say that, we won't get another one. We could probably see another one in a few years. And the thing a lot of people don't realize about Insomniac is that they have such an incredible workflow. Their pipeline to production and what they're able to do, like, they are such a well-oiled machine between the two studios. So them working on Spider-Man and then putting out Miles Morales, the remaster, and now Spider-Man 2, what they're able to achieve in such a short amount of time is staggering. And one thing a lot of people do not realize about Insomniac, and I think it was overshadowed with the Wolverine announcement, is that they're hiring for a multiplayer project separate from this. So they're working on something else in the background. Like, obviously, the thing about game development is that not every single person who's working on something works on it up until the very end. Yeah. So the people who start in the beginning and they prototype stuff, after a certain amount of time, they go do something else. And that's just the nature of good game development. So who's to say that we won't see something else? And the thing about PlayStation is that they're not adverse to shopping around their IPs to different studios. They gave Sly Cooper to Sanzaru. So maybe they might find somebody to do like a Resistance revival. Who knows? They could form a small studio to do that. So I don't think, there is much to worry about. I think eventually at some point we'll see these franchises. But again, at some point, like, it's so weird. I think you guys will agree with this. After Resistance came out, like, Resistance 3 was a solid game. It was okay. There was nobody talking about Resistance for a few years.
No, they did the right thing by shelving it.
Yeah. So that's what happens in the game industry. Something comes out, they've had their fill of it, whether it's good or bad, and they're not clamoring for another one. Like Uncharted 4 ended on a very high note. We got Lost Legacy, but no one's talking about wanting a new Uncharted game. But it's probably going to creep back up when we get to like 2024, 2025. Like, people are like, I just wish PlayStation would do something with Uncharted. It's just the nature of the beast. But this Wolverine game, honestly, has got me more excited than Spider-Man 2. Because Spider-Man, we know what it's going to be like. It's going to be more grandiose, more villains. That's awesome. But Wolverine's interesting because this is going to be different. They play completely different. Will it be an open world? Will it be hub world? Will it be a non-linear story or will it be linear? Because the thing about Logan as a character is that his story, unlike Spider-Man, who's based in New York, his story goes across the entire world. So he could be set in the US, he could be set in Canada, he could be set in Japan. And it'd be really interesting if you can somehow blend that in to the hub worlds. But, the last thing I will say is, and I think this is a great indication, I think this game is going to be mature rated because the creative director just came out on Twitter and said that, because someone asked him, is this going to be a mature game? Is it going to be the size and scale of Miles Morales? And he says it's a full-size game, mature tone. So that's not confirming an M rating, but that combined with the blood in the trailer, and then if you go, I think, to the Marvel website to view the trailer, it's 18 and up versus the Spider-Man, which is just available for everyone. That gives me a little bit of hope, but I'm excited to see what happens in 2024, 2025.
It's a ways out, I'm sure. And you touched on,
if you're wondering how they get so many games done in such a short amount of time, it's right there in the title.
Travis, go away.
They don't sleep.
Go away, right. Travis.
I'm going to mute him.
It's like that scene in Joker, like with the joke. Like, that's Travis right now. Right now.
Like, you touched on a lot of things there, right? I think in all seriousness, I think why they're lining Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 with Insomniac is because there's a lot of shared resources there, right? People are like, Insomniac's incredible. How are they getting all these games out? Well, when you go from Spider-Man to to remaster to Miles Morales to Spider-Man 2. It's a lot easier to create games because there's a lot of shared resources, a lot of shared assets there. And I think that's why they're narrowing Insomniac, because they're so good at it. To your point, their work stream is so productive. If you give Wolverine to them, there's going to be a lot of foundation they can build upon there in the Wolverine game that they've already, used. They have the resources, they have the knowledge, they have the know-how to do certain things. It's not like Insomniac is creating a new IP every 2 years from scratch, right? No. It's very different. So not to take anything away from them, the quality is way up there. So Dan, before I get to you, we got a super chat and we got some comments I want to get to as well.
Wolverine, the most overused Marvel superhero from Fat Boy Horror, 5 pounds. I don't know what you're talking about, man, because that's crazy talk.
I don't think he means in games. I think Wolverine in terms of like just media is everywhere.
Right. Well, sure. Yeah. But you know what is probably going to succeed and what is probably going to fail? Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy. All right. That was the problem with that game, is that, most people know the Guardians from the movie, right? The MCU, right? Yeah. Everybody knows Spider-Man. Everybody, from the comics, you can do whatever the heck you want with it, but when you have an IP like that, like Guardians of the Galaxy, most of the fans are going to immediately go back to that as opposed to going back to the comic book.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with Avengers, right? The Avengers movie was, gigantic, and then the game comes out and they're like, oh, it doesn't look like the movie. Right.
Yeah. If any, and that's the thing, what I always say, because I understand Fat Boy's point of view, because as a person who's fan of the X-Men, not just Logan, because Logan's not an X-Men like the movies make him out to be. He's been more solo than anything else. I understand it completely, because the movies weren't really about the X-Men. They were about Logan and the X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men cartoon. So I understand that. But I mean, at the end of the day, whether or not it's overused, it comes down to the quality of it. Like Batman, for example, there's been 40 different Batman reboots in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everyone's really excited for this Matt Reeves one. And the chatter sounds pretty good. And that's what it comes down to. If you can make something really good with the IP, it doesn't matter whether or not it's overused. Again, going back to Spider-Man, there's been 40 million different Spider-Man games. Yep. But Insomniac's game is the only one people are talking about now. So
yeah, well, it's in fact, you basically touched on this, because Vault Boy says, are we already wanting another Spider game? 2 games in 3 years, and Miles Morales was only about 6 to 8 hours long. And he makes clear, I'm not questioning the quality. It's just, do you get burnt out on Spider-Man games if they keep doing this?
It'll sell 10 million copies. I'm going to tell you that right now. Easy.
Well, we know that, but that's
what I'm saying. I mean, but that doesn't matter. You can get burned out on it. Maybe it'll sell a few less, but they know where their money is, and that's what the bottom line is going to be.
Well, that's why they chose Wolverine. I mean, if you can't do Batman, you already have Spider-Man. There's a few short list after that.
I keep saying that, eventually people are going to get burned out of something, but you're not burned out of something until it stops selling. And Assassin's Creed is the best indication of that. It never stops. It'll have lulls and dry spells, but it never stops. Valhalla, I think, is what the highest.
It's the best selling.
Yeah. So it never stops.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be okay. I mean, look, that's like 2 years if it doesn't get delayed.
By the way, you're reading comments again, Neo.
I'm not even trying to. I'm amongst my people on this stream today. That's what I'm saying.
I can't wait for people to complain about how Wolverine doesn't look like Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait.
Where is my Aussie face Hugh Jackman?
That's true.
Do you guys think? I don't think they're gonna make him like 5'4" as he is in the comics. I think he'll probably be 5'9", but if he's like 6 foot and above, I think there's going to be a lot of people.
He's this gigantic guy.
I think he'll be 5'2", and he'll be portrayed by Danny DeVito.
That's what I'm talking about. If we're going to have big boy Thor, and we got to have short, stocky Wolverine. That's what I'm saying. Come on, give it to me, PlayStation. Give it to me.
Like an actual Wolverine. Little stub.
Yeah. Don't tell Dan on Danny DeVito now. The man's a legend.
Yes.
I didn't say he was. I just recommended him for the role of Wolverine. I did the best thing for his career right here. Giving him the bump.
Dan, Wolverine.
Yeah,
Any extra thoughts here?
I'm super pumped for it. Don't know what the hell it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to play, but I love the character. So I love Insomniac. I think they've done an amazing job with what they've been given. and there's no reason to doubt it. At this point, it's you've got a quality studio, a quality IP. We've seen what they can do all the way back to even like Sunset Overdrive. Like you said, they know what they're doing. This is Sony basically went back in time and invested in Apple stock in 1985, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, look what I got now. It's insane what they've done. I love seeing. I'm a big Marvel guy, so it's been fantastic to watch. Spider-Man was one of my favorite games for the PS4, so
I think
pretty pumped.
So we might as well jump to that. And in the notes here, they bounced back and forth, but we'll jump right to Spider-Man since we're already on the conversation. So full-on Spider-Man 2 sequel announced 2023 is their target. Who knows if they hit it? I'm sure they probably will. In my notes here, all I said, this is going to set the world on fire. Because it will. Spider-Man, as we already said, is the best-selling PS4 game on a platform that is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. And there's no doubt that Spider-Man 2 will be a monster for PlayStation 5. So I'm going to let you guys go. You know more about Spider-Man than I do. You're more excited for it than I am. So you guys go.
All right, I'm gonna keep mine very short and to the point because I could literally be here for 6 hours. I literally could. So I'm gonna keep it short. Time me under 2 minutes. Obviously, very excited for it. I can't wait to see what they do with this game because it's going to be PS5 only. It's not going to be cross-gen. So that alone is going to be interesting because Ratchet and Clank, the Rift stuff was cool, but I think the main selling point outside of that was just how detailed the game was. So I can't wait to see what they bring to an open world setting. I mean, the particle effects and all that stuff is already great. So just that on the next level is going to be awesome. Story-wise, and this is what excites me the most because Insomniac is giving us what unfortunately the movies and most things outside of the comics haven't, as far as like a living, breathing Spider-Man world, an adult Peter Parker, a great rogues gallery, developing the side cast, and all the things that they're getting into. I love that stuff because the movies, unfortunately, we've been floundering for a while. Like we get some good things here and there, but the level of stuff that we want in the stories with Peter Parker, we're not getting. So I just can't wait to see where they go from there. And that's my quick version of it. I'm going to do like a 6-hour version on my channel later on this week if y'all want to check that out. But go ahead.
Lady says she wants Hulk vs. Wolverine DLC. Yeah, that's going back to Wolverine. But anyway.
Yeah, but just a real quick touch on what you could do a time story, like a story that takes place in multiple timelines, I guess. Not that timelines, but you can go from 1940s to all the way to the present time because he's basically invincible and he lives super long time. So, you could actually go, jump from, the World War II to, present day and just explore his entire story throughout that entire thing.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but a lot of possibilities.
It'd be a great and another thing just to add on to the Wolverine.
Oh, see, you said 2 minutes. You said 2 minutes.
This is Wolverine. It's not Spider-Man. That's my loop. That is my loophole. This is not a death loop of Spider-Man stuff. It's just one of the writers of Spec Ops: The Line is writing Wolverine.
Okay.
Wow.
So there we go. Oh boy, we got to handle something in the comments. Got to handle something in the comments.
I got him.
Wow.
Yep, already.
Another guy 12 has a valid point.
Yep. Look at that.
If he would have said PlayStation is dead, we could have just left it there.
You could have, yeah.
But man, come on, guy. Come on,
Jesus, guys, get a life, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. They up there on their Sunday mornings with their jujubes.
Yeah, Sunday morning drinking some coffee. Figure I'll try and ruin someone's stream. Like, give me a break.
They got their Cocoa Krispies and all that stuff.
They're little tidy
nice
whities.
We know
it was Jordan actually in his alt account.
Yeah, Jordan, put your alt account away. That's not for us. Let's get this super chat real quick.
Yeah,
Dan.
All right, Mariano Papa for the $10 super chat. Are we still talking about these games coming to a dead console? Xbox dead too. All hail Nintendo Lord. I kid. I'm more excited about Twisted Metal. Hit that like button, people. Don't be another guy.
Hit the like button, y'all. But
so we're getting there. He jumped the gun with the Twisted Metal. He jumped the gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pampa, thank you, sir. Always appreciate it, brother.
Let's see what that super chat. What he's doing right now is something you can't do on a Nintendo console. Send messages. So I don't know why we have that up.
Too true. Spider-Man 2, guys. So Dan, gigantic Spider-Man fan. Obviously,
Yes.
this is up your alley. What did you feel about where they're setting up for the full sequel?
I'm curious to see if Venom's going to be a playable character alongside. Man, the Master Chief showing up.
Yeah,
alongside
Master Chief
Miles.
has much more class than that.
Yes,
That's just come on.
That's true. I'd like to see that 3 playable character kind of thing. Maybe, I want to be able to switch back and forth between Miles and Peter. And this is going to sound terrible. I don't need Mary Jane stealth missions. I'm sorry.
That's not terrible, bro. That is the worst part of the
immersion of the game so much. Because you're sitting there playing, and then all of a sudden it's just like, I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, they don't need to. I think we could have skipped some of that stuff. I don't need maybe 1. I'll take 1 because they did it with not just her, but with Miles in the original game, and it was just frustrating because you're like, go, stop, and I didn't like that. So I'm hoping that there's not a lot of that. They have a potential. I love that they're telling this new story. It's all original. From I'm not going to spoil anything from the original, but we know what Venom probably is right now. If you've played the original game, played all the way through, I'm so pumped. Miles is actually my favorite Spider-Man at this point. That game, they did a really good job telling his story and kind of grounded, I think, the franchise a lot into, where it's more relatable for people. So they did a really good job with that. I'd like to see some more of that, really kind of bring that into the story instead of just being all actiony and I got to go fight the next bad guy kind of thing. I think they can do it. I think they've proven they can do it. I'm super pumped about this. I wish it wasn't so far away. So.
Keep talking, guys. I'm dealing with these clowns.
Dude, someone in the comment section. Yeah. Oh, you told us that. Yeah, we aren't spammers. You hit it big time. I'm telling you, if you get spammers in there, man, you're doing something right.
That's right, man. We've hit a new pinnacle.
I know, man. All you guys are doing is helping us.
That's all it is, bro. Y'all, all the comments help the algorithm. That's how we do it.
That's it. You're helping us. You don't realize it. You can give us those downvotes too. We only got 1. Come on, add them up. Let's go.
Come on, let's go. Gotta get them numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Travis, are you big on Spider-Man? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? I was Peter Parker in high school.
I can totally see that.
Without the powers.
100%.
So you didn't show like
ending.
You're just a kid with a camera.
Yeah, I was just I had the sad ending of the Spider-Man story where I was out there trying to get bit. With all these spiders,
it's just letting spiders walk on me. Come on,
didn't work.
One time, baby, one time.
And the spiders didn't want to bite. Damn, that's saying something. Oh man.
Yeah. No, I love Spider-Man. I love Insomniac. This is like the marriage of 2 awesome things. I'm not really that excited about Venom. I think he's like pretty overdone in recent like Spider-Man stuff. I'm way more excited about Kraven the Mighty Hunter.
Oh yes,
Kraven. Yes,
he's never used, bro.
He's never used. He was used in, I think, the Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1 video game, and then I think in one other Spider-Man game since then. But like, he's just like a dude. He's like a hunter who can take on Spider-Man, who has like supernatural powers. So that's gonna be pretty dope. I'm more excited about Kraven than Venom.
Dude,
although Venom's also dope.
I really hope, because the way based off of the little speech he had, you think they're gonna adapt Kraven's Last Hunt?
Oh, that would be amazing,
dude. If they do that's already 10 out of 10 for me, because that's one of the best Spider-Man stories.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited to see what they do with it. But more Spider-Man, good. I think enough said. Yes. But yeah, Kraven is super underrated as a villain.
Absolutely.
Super underrated. Yeah, like kind of criminally underrated.
I heard they were doing a movie, right? No?
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
really? Sony, they're trying to do their own.
Yeah, I understand.
Marvel.
They're trying to keep that Spider-Man deal. They have to make a movie every, I think is it 3 years to keep the license alive.
Yeah, so they have to have a movie in production every 3 years. So that's why even if their Marvel deal like them working the MCU doesn't, let's say it falters, they still have to make a movie every 3 years, which is why they're doing Venom 2, Morbius, Craven, this other movie with I don't know if they're doing a Spider-Woman movie or what, but they're doing a lot of stuff. Yeah.
No. Yeah,
But
like
I think there's one silver lining. Last thing.
Go for it.
One silver lining. I think Venom, even though he has been overused to death, I think Insomniac's take is going to be really good. And the fact that they brought in Tony Todd to voice him, that's just perfect casting if there ever was one, man.
There you go. Yeah. So this is why I didn't talk. These guys know
Now
what they're talking about this more than me. So it's awesome. I love seeing so many people excited for this. Yeah, it's cool. And I'll definitely give it a go. I gave Spider-Man a go and played it for a little while. It's just not for me, which is fine. But I'm going to get sucked into this and try it. I know I am. So I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I have no doubt about the quality of the game. Hopefully I get into it. So we'll see. Now let me jump over to, because this is like my Spider-Man, it's Gran Turismo 7. So yeah, I'm a car guy, man. I'm a car guy.
There we go. Let's see.
And so am I, but Gran Turismo, I mean, it hasn't been good since like
it hasn't been good in a long time. Yeah, it hasn't been good in a long time.
The last one I played was 5, and here's the fun. I bought it because I'm not a big Gran Turismo fan, but everyone's like, "Yo, you gotta play this game, bro." I said, "I bet." I got it for Christmas, and I remember I spent more time installing the patches than I did playing the game. Because back it's not like now we got great internet. Back then, them downloads were slow.
Yeah, they were rough.
5 hours plus.
Yeah. So as a car guy, right, Gran Turismo basically was the game. It changed the world when 1 and 2 came out from a racing perspective.
1 and 2. Oh my god.
Yeah, me and my friends, we would literally come home from racing our cars and just sit around eating pizza and playing Gran Turismo.
Wait, that's illegal.
Beautiful.
What?
Said, wait, that's illegal.
Oh,
sorry.
Well,
you mean
it was all in Mexico. It was all in Mexico.
Okay.
But that's what I used to say. If you guys don't get that joke, whenever you show a street racing video, which is illegal to broadcast, you just say I was racing in Mexico.
That's
and
it.
Yeah. So we don't need to get into that. But anyway, Gran Turismo.
It's a tip for y'all.
I didn't know you were a real life Fast and Furious character. I'm more interested in you now.
He's the definition of family.
We'll talk offline. I'm not going to put that out there to the whole crew here. Why you keep derailing me? I'm trying to talk some Gran Turismo.
This is a revelation I feel needs covering.
This what happens when we don't have
outside of video games, I'm a car guy. Like that's
understand family though.
Of course, yeah.
Have you ever has a cop ever let you go because of the bonds of friendship you forged with them? Or
I've been pulled over 18 times.
Fast and Furious is anime. Actually.
It is shown in anime. It's true.
It is the only live action anime. It has power creep. It has
it has a lot of shit. Yeah. What was it? Was it Fast? Was it Fast 5 or Fast 7 where Vin Diesel just did that, like he stomped on the ground? And
that is 7.
That's
Fast Furious 7. He stomps on the ground and collapses.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
I have seen. Okay.
I'm trying.
I edited
I'm trying
Wikipedia
to talk.
for Fast and Furious, so this is like I'm on my jam right now.
All right. Anyway, back to
you
illegal street racer Ains.
I'm trying to talk about Gran Turismo. I'm trying. They're talking about this garbage over here. With,
Whoa, garbage! Whoa!
Didn't this man
Fast
just?
Furious is iconic. How dare you?
I don't care if it's iconic.
Is it Ubisoft iconic though?
I don't care if it's iconic. That doesn't matter to me.
Dig in the grave.
How dare you?
The only Fast and Furious movie that had any semblance of actual street racing was 1, and even that's a stretch.
Bro,
you're about to get canceled. I'm not telling you why, but you're about to get canceled.
You are going to get canceled.
I know you're a Fast and Furious guy, but that's because you don't actually street race. The people who like Fast and Furious don't actually street race,
bro. It never was about that. As you pointed out, 1 is like thinly veiled. It's like saying that Breakpoint is like about snowboarding or whatever the hell that is. Like it's about. Okay, I'm not going to get into this with you because you're arguing from a position of ignorance, and I have dedicated my life to knowing about Fast and Furious. So,
this is part of your problem.
Boy.
Damn. Well, I'm not telling you why you're about to get canceled.
Stay in your lane, literally and metaphorically.
Gran Turismo 7.
Gran Turismo.
Anyway, we're back. GT has not been good in many years. Travis was right about one thing. GT Sport came out. It was basically a shell of a game. Over the past couple years, they've improved it substantially. It's now actually a really good racer, but it's still not the old GT.
Family is garbage.
That's what he said.
Here.
I didn't say family is garbage.
Well, I have you quoted on Twitter.
Yeah,
family
and you know what
garbage.
they say? If it's quoted on Twitter, it's accurate. You don't say that about
So-
family, Ains. You don't say that about family.
Anyway,
Neo, we need to hang out.
We got to, man. I'm telling you. We will drive Ains insane if we're like all together at a convention for a
I've been
weekend.
trying to talk about Gran Turismo for like 10 minutes. I haven't been allowed to yet.
You
We are
opened a box
chaotic.
here, dude.
Yeah,
You
right.
opened a box. We didn't
All right, anyway,
ask you to come up
I'm
with
gonna
this
mute my
family.
mic.
I'm gonna remove you both from the show in a second. Dan already left, so he's gone. Anyway,
Are y'all entertained? All right, that's it. That's the last thing I'll say.
Anyway, for anyone actually interested in racing games, this looks like, at least from what we've seen, a return to form, right? This looks like Gran Turismo back of the memories we had when it was first on 1 and 2, obviously when 3 came to PlayStation 2. You've got a full career mode, you've got the modding, you've got the realistic car models, you've got the biggest thing they've shown, which most of the racing fans are excited about, is the number of tracks. So the realistic tracks are always the most important, but Dan said I'm out. But if you in a racing game, right, recreating real tracks across the world is hugely important, and making sure you do that accurately, which Gran Turismo usually does. So I'm pumped for this game. I hope that it actually puts Gran Turismo back on the map where they've kind of been gone for many years. So we'll see.
Hey,
But-
I'm going to surprise you right now, Ains, and tell you that I'm also a car guy.
No, you're not.
I am.
Trust me,
And
I will put that to the test, and you're going to fail.
Not racing, and I also don't really particularly like cars in real life. I like cars in video games.
What are you talking about? You said I'm a car guy who doesn't race
I'm a
and
car
doesn't
guy
like
video
cars in
games.
real
Like,
life.
I like Forza Motorsport. I like the idea of cars. It's just, for me, like, in real life, is it practical to like own a car collection or like go to car shows? Like, no. Like, why am I?
What about
gonna do
Hot
that?
Wheels? Are you big onto Hot Wheels?
I'm big on the Hot Wheels.
All right.
That
Yeah, like
Forza Hot Wheels DLC.
Do you
No,
see what I have to deal with?
Bro.
Look, we got the Spider-Man, and I just shut up, right? I just let him go on about Craven and comics
My God.
and character. I didn't say a
Bro,
word. We get to
look-
Gran Turismo,
look
and I
at-
can't even speak.
Look at my play history for all the Forza games. I've played all Forza Motorsport games.
I don't
like, a
care. I'm
lot.
talking about actual cars.
I'm talking about video games. I thought this was a video game show.
Ah,
We're talking about how realistic the game is to actual racing, which is what Gran Turismo is known for and why people play it.
Forza Motorsport's also known for
how do we know that though?
It is.
you don't
Oh my
know
God,
the-
oh my God.
Travis
my
doesn't
God.
know that. That's the point I'm making.
So you're saying you have to race cars to appreciate realistic car sims.
No,
Oh.
you can appreciate the game, but you don't have the context as to how realistic it actually is.
Why
Right.
does that matter?
It absolutely matters. It matters
Well-
to the core part of the community who plays those games, and
Well,
you
you've never
you
killed
not
a man,
understanding
so
that only further proves the point.
you've never killed a man, so you can't really appreciate
What?
Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like you can't understand the real gravity of aiming the barrel and
Oh
taking a
my
life.
God.
And as somebody who's killed many people, I don't think you're really qualified to talk about COD.
Neo, you see
Yeah.
what I'm dealing with? You see what I'm
Oh.
dealing with?
This is,
Now, was this-
I
I've
think
only
your
been wa-
argument's silly, is all I'm saying.
I've only been watching for a few weeks, but this is how it always been, or what?
I'm just saying, dude. Like I appreciate car. Like I love car games. I
Okay,
like
so
car
getting back
games.
to that then, seriously,
Yeah.
what did you think
I
about
love-
what they showed here?
I thought it was great. Like like what you said, Gran Turismo 1 and 2 were super formative for me because back then they were like the only car racing sims.
Yeah.
And I kind of like learned to drive in Gran Turismo weirdly. Like I did those you know how you had to do the licenses to qualify
course.
for different
Yeah.
brackets in Gran Turismo? I would do those and just like practice my driving in those until I perfected it and then go into the races. So I love that. My problem with Gran Turismo is that like they've not really understood who they are for the past like decades. It's
Yes.
been like a really long time. And Forza is just eating their lunch because Forza Motorsport is just, it does everything that they used to do, except for some of like the car customization and like sim, like you don't do like the licenses, for example, since I brought that up, which I actually really like that part of Gran Turismo. But like in every other like respect, Forza Motorsport has been just a superior franchise, and they're working on something that's probably going to come out around the same time as this game, right? This game's coming out next year, I think they said, and
it's March 5th.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Forza Motorsport, a proper sequel, is going to come out and blow us out of the water next fall. And so
hopefully
I'm interested to see how that stacks up against it. But like, I don't race in real life, so I guess my opinion's invalid. But I really like car racing sims. And
That's not what I said.
Okay, well, so it's essentially it was like another one of your hipster takes. If you had the true the experience.
Says the guy who talked to us for 5 minutes about Star Wars lore because you've read every book.
Oh yeah, that's super hipster. Everybody knows if you're into Star Wars, you're super counterculture. Like what the hell? Like that's all I'm saying. Like anyway, I'll let you go, but I'm excited to play this game. I hope it's good. I hope that it can.
We'll end with this. I've never heard anyone say I'm a car guy. I just don't like cars and I don't drive in real life. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my.
I need that on a shirt, man.
Seriously,
I need that on a shirt.
To say you're a car guy and try to get in with the car guy and say, but I don't drive cars and I don't own any is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Can't you love cars without driving them?
You said you don't know anything about them.
No, I said I don't own them.
I like the idea of paying.
The idea of a four-wheeled vehicle I can move around in is awesome.
The idea of a well-balanced breakfast sounds
here's the thing. I appreciate cars, but it's not a practical hobby. You know what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I get it.
Owning a car isn't practical, or just
that's where I draw the line.
Not in San Francisco.
Do you know?
In San Francisco really isn't practical. Yeah.
How do we know, Travis? It could just be close-ups of the DSLR or of your Hot Wheels collection.
Because my license plate says Thai guy.
Yeah, okay,
that's fair.
3D prints.
My car.
I feel like Travis is the guy who has an automatic that drives with both feet. That's where I think we're at.
I know how to drive a manual car. I'll have you know, and that's rare in San Francisco. It's actually rare in California. Everybody here.
That's all right.
I got the Travis car right here.
Oh my God, what has happened? I see Sark's in, Mo's in, Bizzle's in. What's up, guys? You came in at a funny time of this show. Let me get this super chat real quick, Dan.
All right, glad you boys are still alive. Cheers from Mo with the $4.99 super chat.
He left and came back, and he was
Thanks,
like,
brother.
"Enough of this."
Yeah, we're not really live. I don't think. Are we still live? This is what we've been talking about for 15 minutes.
Man.
Oh my God.
This is what happens when you don't have topics in the week, you guys.
Yes.
I tried to just talk about Gran Turismo 7. We got all over the place. Oh well.
It's too much ponying in this podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you. Hopefully, in all seriousness, it launches March 5th. Hopefully, it's a return to form. I am a kind of bewildered that they announced this as a PS5 exclusive and then went back on it, which is really odd.
Crazy.
Retroactive cross-gen. Let's go.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's going to look like.
What's the over-under on them doing that for like Spider-Man 2? Because they've backtracked a ton of other games and said like, actually,
please don't do this to me. Please don't.
Yeah, do this. I don't know. Dan, I was. You're not a big GT guy, right?
No, I mean, I'll probably pick it up and play it. I mean, just because. I mean, I enjoy Forza, the Horizon games. I actually enjoy a lot of the Forza, just the regular Forza games too. And I have GTA, the last GTA or GTA,
GTA 5.
I got GTA 6. GT. Yeah, no, I mean it's one of those games. It's so hyper realistic that it almost turns the casual player off. Is the problem with the GT series, at least lately. But like you guys said, the 1 and 2. I can see where that would be like a formative game. It's just they were amazing games. So I hope they go back to form. So
cool. All right, guys, we got one more to touch on. God of War.
Yes.
So we finally, everyone expected it. We obviously saw it. It is funny enough called Ragnarok, which I found funny after all the debate and speculation. It's kind of weird, this one, right? Because I think everyone's really excited for it. Obviously, the 2018 game is a masterpiece. It looks like more of that, even bigger, broader, etc. But I was talking to Mo about this, some other big God of War fans, and the funny thing is, I just don't think like it's hard to recreate the impact that the game in 2018 had, because it was a reboot at the time. We hadn't seen Kratos in a while. It was very different. It was gorgeous. It was new. It was fresh. And we're going to get more of that excellence. But, you know, it's kind of hard to recreate that impact that the game in 2018 had. So, but I mean, this is, you know, I don't know. It looks fantastic to me. I'm going to be in day one. I'm sure it's going to sell like bonkers. It looks to have everything we liked about the first one. What did this trailer kind of give you? The same thing. It's like more of what we expected, even though that's a fantastic thing. It just, it didn't have the same impact for me as it did 4 years ago or whatever, 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are different, you know, about, I think, when they showed this and when they showed the first one at E3 with that gameplay trailer with Corey playing it. It was so with it being out, with it looking very, very, very similar, and that's fine. You know, they have to make some improvements here and there, but more of a good thing is always great. I'm on the fence on how Atreus is going to be portrayed, as far as like now we're getting into his the formative teen years of the angsty kid. You know, like, is he going to be even more annoying than before? Kind of looked like it a little bit in the trailer, but also he looked like a badass with, you know, when that elk or whatever he jumped on, that looked awesome. So I mean, they have to add that kind of stuff to, you know, and still have a really, really solid story about that relationship. Like, how do you take it from, you know, what we saw in the first one to the sequel? You know, how is Ragnarok going to play out in that relationship? You know, because that's what the whole game was about. You know, you go and you smash people around with your axe or your, you know, chaos chains or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. But really the heart of that story was the father-son relationship. And if they can continue to expand on that and continue to make that engaging, then I think both will be fine. I mean, I again, no doubt that this will sell millions and millions of copies, but you know, they set themselves a really, really high bar.
Yes.
So they have to, you know, continue to hit that or pass that. And I don't know if that's possible or not.
I think that's the trouble, right? Like, how do you, such a magical game for so many people, how do you capture that again? That's a monumental challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I have no issues hiding the fact that I wasn't the most impressed with this this unveiling of God of War Ragnarok. It didn't capture me the same way it did when they showed it off the first time. And I understand that, yes, when they first showed it off, it was a drastic departure from what we've seen before. And this, obviously, you know, it's not PS5 only, it's cross-gen. So yeah, it is going to look similar, but better. But I don't know. Maybe it was the way the trailer was cut. It just didn't give me any type of thing to be excited about, other than, okay, this is a new God of War. You loved the first one, so you're probably going to love the second one. I mean, it's going to look great on PS5, 60 frames. The story will probably be epic, fighting Freya and Thor. And they're talking about how they're really going to be delving into the Ragnarok story. And Ragnarok, for those who don't follow it, is the end of everything. So they're actually taking that literally in this game, because this is the end of this little Norse saga they're doing with Kratos. So it's instead of being a trilogy, it's going to be a duology. That's going to be very interesting to see where it goes from a story perspective. I'm kind of thinking maybe they might end up killing Kratos for good and giving him a send-off. I would not be surprised, especially as Atreus ages. Maybe they might want to do something with him in the future. But either way, I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking the blades are being used more. I'm liking that Atreus has more of a role in combat. And from all the little nuggets of information they've been dealing out over the past couple of days, they are making pretty drastic improvements to things that people talked about beforehand. So the combat's going to be more refined. There's going to be more to do in the world in terms of just not being so samey, in terms of like, okay, you have to go here and do that and do this and everything. So I'm excited. As far as it's releasing, I wouldn't be surprised if they push it all the way to the end of the year to give it that marquee title status. But then again, PlayStation never does that. So
yeah, and this was their opportunity to do it, and they didn't.
Yeah, so it could be Horizon in February, but I wouldn't be surprised if they launched God of War in summer. I mean, they launched Last of Us in summer. They launched Ghost in summer. So this could be their marquee summer game. Give it a few months of breathing room after Horizon. But yeah, it's one of those things where I might not be the most excited, but once I get closer and closer to the release, I'll be on level 10, you know?
Yeah. Travis, what you got, man?
Yeah, the original God of War, not the original, but the God of War from 2018, wasn't my favorite game, like in terms of like the actual gameplay part of it, if that makes sense. Like it sort of to what we were talking about earlier, it sort of did a better job of like parroting movies or TV shows, other mediums, rather than doing the video game part was my problem with it. And I just say that because like you fight like the same 4 or 5 enemy types and then like the same 3 or 4 bosses over and over again. And it kind of had like that sameness where you were sort of just like traveling from room to room, killing things while the story happened. And I felt like they could have done a better job with the game part of the game, like the actual stuff that you were doing and leveling up and the types of enemies you were fighting and that sort of stuff. So I'm very excited for a sequel that hopefully continues the story part that they did well and then improves the game part of it, because that's always my problem with a lot of these games. I had the same problem with The Last of Us, where it's like, all right, great story, but like it's not that good of a stealth game, and it like is supposed to be a stealth game. You spend a lot of time sort of just like creeping around and scavenging for supplies, and I'm just like, all right, let's just get through this game so I can watch the movie you made. That's like where I get sometimes. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. The story looks good. I like that Thor's fat. It's interesting. It's different. I like that Richard Schiff is playing Odin. He's an actor that played Toby Ziegler in West Wing. He's a Jew. I like him a lot.
That's not what I expected you to say.
Casually throw that out there.
It's my folks. I gotta you don't see them often.
Representation matters. I feel it.
So yeah, I'm excited. And also if you've ever seen West Wing and seen Toby Ziegler, like he's the last person you would expect to be cast as Odin in like Norse mythology. So the fat Thor and him being Odin just make me like go like, what's going on here? Like they're really doing something weird with these characters, which I like. It's different. It's not like, Chris Hemsworth walking out as the blonde, lightly bearded Jesus Thor. I'm glad they're not doing that. So
yeah, fair enough. So I think most people felt similar from watching that trailer, and I think the hype of Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine announcement, kind of stole the show in that sense, I think. But no doubt, as Neo said, when this game starts to approach and we get near release, it's going to be, all hands on deck, I'm sure. So, all right, guys. So what do you think? Give me your rating overall on this show. And Neo, I saw your post on Twitter after the show, and funny enough, I was right in the same camp, and I think Dan was pretty similar too, because him and I were DMing, and I was like, they opened with Knights of the Old Republic, blew me away, but then there's this long lull where it was like nothing overly impressive, and then they ended with First Party, which was cool. But we didn't see any huge Wolverine was a big surprise, yes, but I was no big returns of their IPs. We didn't get anything from. I know there were a lot of rumors around some From Software game. Many of us were hoping Bloodborne related or other. A lot of things like that. So I gave this game somewhere. I said it was a good show, not great. That's what I put on Twitter. Where were you guys at on this?
It was a 7.
Give it the Rodriguez 7. That's where I was about a 7.
Yeah, it's probably between 7 and 8. I thought it was really, really good. I mean, I think they brought enough, future, stuff to show in the future that it wasn't a complete disaster. I really enjoyed. I mean, that's the kind of format I like, where it's just game after game after game. The
pacing was good.
Right. Great pacing. Did a really good job. Aside from the center, where you had, and it was really most of that third-party stuff that was just like, no reason to show GTA 5 again. That was dumb.
Or Deathloop.
Boy. Or Deathloop. Yeah, right. Yeah. Stuff that's coming out in here in a week, it just seemed ridiculous. I understand they're trying to push that kind of stuff, and I don't know if like Take-Two or if they paid the money to get that game on there, I don't know what they're doing. So it's fine, but everything at the end was fantastic, and starting off with KOTOR was a really, really good job. And even the first, couple games, Project E, Forspoken, those look good. I think, I'm excited for what the future holds. I know a lot of it's, kind of far out, especially the big ones. But still, man, I'm more games equals, happy Dan. That's basically it. So, and they all look like right up my alley for the most part, except for that weird guitar playing one. That was questionable. But what the crazy thing was I didn't see a ton of multiplayer stuff. That was the big thing that I thought they would show. Something go back to Resistance, maybe not specifically that, or show factions for The Last of Us.
Factions was expected.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff that's I always thought. I don't want to say PlayStation was lacking because they have third party stuff that and they support that stuff like Call of Duty. That's their that's the way they've been. I think you'll start seeing more and more of it as the industry's changing and heading towards that direction. So I mean, to ignore it completely, especially in the showcase, and you haven't done anything pretty much, most of the year aside from the Horizon one and a couple of other ones that were focused on specific games. I think they kind of missed the ball on that mark. And even though I'm not a big multiplayer guy, I know that most people are. So from a business perspective, I think they could have done a little bit more with that. Maybe they didn't have anything to show at the moment, so hard to tell. But I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Fair. Neo.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this. It was the best beginning and end of a showcase I've seen in a while. The announcements cannot be understated because they were pretty huge bombs. Yes, KOTOR was CGI. Yes, Wolverine was CGI. Spider-Man was an engine. I understand the whole, I thought we aren't getting excited for CGI trailers, guys. I understand that point. But I think on some level, just the idea of these games existing is the reason why everyone's excited. And I mean, fair play. I mean, just go look at the trailer views for Wolverine alone. That thing is right up there with Spider-Man and God of War, which is huge because that doesn't show anything except his claws coming out in the logo. And it's just the general excitement because Insomniac is going to deliver. But the thing I always try to tell people is it's okay to like a show because you had one or two announcements that resonated to you, but just grading it critically, that show was like 45 minutes long. There was that dull period, that dull spell where it's like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. It's nice seeing Tiny Tina again. Do we need an Alan Wake remastered trailer? We know it's coming. Like a lot of the stuff there to me felt as if it was I'm not dissing Alan Wake, Travis. Relax. Take it easy. But to me, a lot of the stuff just felt more up the alley of a state of play. You get what I'm saying? Or they could just upload these trailers individually on the PlayStation YouTube channel. Was it worth the entire year wait? Obviously not, because if it was going to be an entire year wait, I want to see them firing from every studio. Like, here's this game, here's that game, here's this multiplayer project. And we know a lot of those games are years out. We know like the stuff that Jade Raymond's working on, the stuff that that Firewalk. Not Fire Sprite. Firewalk or another studio that's working on a multiplayer
I think it's
game.
Firewalk. Yeah.
Something along those lines. Some weird name. But we know they're working on a multiplayer focused title. Obviously, it's going to be a while. But yeah, I'm just thinking back on the announcements I liked: KOTOR, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and then I can't really count God of War because they announced that over a year ago. So it's just we're now seeing gameplay from it. So. Yeah, everything else I'm kind of indifferent to. So I gave it like a 6.5 out of 10. People think I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. I'm like, no, I'm not. I mean, the things that I liked, they're cool, but I'm not playing those things for a few years. So just like with the Xbox conference, a lot of those games I'm excited for, I'm not playing until 2023 and 2024. So I have to keep that same energy,
Fair.
Yeah. I think you guys are being a little harsh. At least I'm using the IGN grading scale. 6.5 doesn't exist, so he would default to a 6, which is okay, which I think is harsh for the PlayStation conference. 7 is good. I think it was better than good. I think it was probably an 8, maybe a 9, but that's just because KOTOR, to be honest. But the reason I think it's at least an 8 is because I think it was a great show. They did all the things you want to do in a show. They had surprises. Yeah, they were CGI, but if you don't show a surprise in CGI, then it gets leaked or spoiled in some other way. So like you kind of have to like beat it to the punch and announce. Wolverine was completely a surprise. KOTOR, despite the leaks, was a complete surprise. Some of the other games they showed from third party were surprises, and then they also secured a ton of exclusivity for their player base. And I think all of the games they showed were good is like the other thing. Like even, you know, stuff that we're a little worried about, like Gran Turismo possibly, you know, not finding its footing. Like the trailer looked good and inspired confidence in those of us who haven't been happy with the series in recent years. God of War did its thing. You know, I probably wouldn't have closed with it, but like everything else is nitpicks. Like they showed games, they had exclusives, they had surprises. All the games looked good. Like, and they kept it brief. The only real criticism I have is, you know, it's the games that weren't there that apparently we had, you know, Sony insiders that knew about Metal Gear and Silent Hill and, you know, Twisted Metal and the
SOCOM.
PlayStation 5 that was 8K, all the, you know, all that stuff that I don't really think that's their fault. That's just like the internet being the internet. And then the other thing is that we haven't heard from Sony in over a year, and they showed us 45 minutes of stuff and only like 10 or 12 games. Like the amount of games was pretty small for how long it's been since we heard that from them. So that's my only real criticism. But yeah, I would probably give it an 8 because I tend to grade things more conservatively, but I think a 7 and a 6 sound harsh to me. I think it was better than good, definitely better than okay. So I would give it a higher grade.
Fair enough. So the last thing I wanted to touch on here, and it's in my notes, is literally the same day as the showcase. The same day, both Jeff Grubb and oh god, I'm gonna forget his name now. Head of VGC. I can't remember. Video Game Chronicle. But anyway, they
Joe
both
Smith.
they both came out and said yes, Twisted Metal is in development.
Nice.
And it's going to be in development in parallel to a TV show that they're going to do with it, which I said the same thing, Travis. Yeah, but it seemed really weird, right? I'm like, for people like me, especially, like I was talking about old PlayStation IPs, Twisted Metal is the thing I wanted out of this show. I was dying to see that come back. Andy Robinson, thank you, G-Man, appreciate that. That's him. Which those two guys, you know, they've kind of nailed their points more often than not. So I have to believe this is true, but it's like, how do we find out that Twisted Metal of all things is in development from leakers the same day as we have a PlayStation showcase? That doesn't make any sense to me. And if you can do trailers like you did for Wolverine, which showed us nothing, or Knights of the Old Republic, which showed us nothing, although we know what that game is, you can do the same for Twisted Metal. And I think that just would have landed really good, especially for the kind of, I don't want to say core PlayStation fans, but the PlayStation fans who have been with PlayStation since the beginning, who really kind of grew up with Twisted Metal, like myself and plenty of others, I'm sure. Yeah. So I kind of wish we would have had something on that, but yeah, it's just strange to me.
You could have literally showed a black screen and then Sweet Tooth,
just show Sweet Tooth
head, just show it. Yeah, and it was like done. Twisted Metal, like literally 5 seconds, and you've been done.
I was talking to someone, you know, the dumb ad we were talking about at the beginning, right? When they had the cars racing around. I'm like, dude, do a trailer where there's just cars racing around, stuff's blowing up, and you don't know what it is. And then at the end, just have an ice cream truck come in. You hear like the ice cream jingle, and Sweet Tooth come rolling by. Dude, I would have lost my mind if that happened. Yeah. Like, I can't believe they didn't do that.
I kind of think the reason they didn't include it on the presentation is because Twisted Metal really doesn't have the clout that the rest of their show did. Like
nowadays,
you're Spider-Man, you're talking about Wolverine, God of War, like all these huge titles, and then like Twisted Metal, like you guys are old, no offense. Like you know, the people who know about Twisted Metal, they're not really like the target audience that Sony's going for, at least with their main stage. So I think it's probably like a strategic decision to leave it off of their presentation.
Wow. I don't know, man. There's a core.
There are like fans, but it's
I'm half agreeing with you. I'm half agreeing.
I think if Twisted Metal was still somewhat relevant, it probably would have gotten a bigger push into the showcase. Because I remember back, I think it was E3 2010. That's when they announced the reboot, and David Jaffe came on stage with the ice cream truck and everything, and they made it a big deal. But that was like the last time we really ever heard of Twisted Metal, because after that they didn't do anything. But maybe it just came down to what they wanted to show off at the showcases. You know, they had already had a few CGI trailers, and you know, out of all the companies, PlayStation has gotten ripped pretty bad for showing CGI trailers for games that are a couple of years out. So I think it all comes down to, okay, we have all these things in the tuck. Do we really want to show it off now, or can we spread that out to other showcases where we might have a dry spell? You get what I'm saying? Because if, like, let's say, for example, they didn't have Wolverine or Spider-Man 2, would everyone still be talking about the showcase like that? If it was Travis, I know you talk about it because it was KOTOR. But if it was just KOTOR and God of War, would it have the same level of buzz as, yo, Spider-Man and Wolverine back to back? So I think it comes down to just, like I said, going back to it. You go like this. It's all about playing chess, not checkers. Yeah, that's right.
Who is playing checkers in this industry? Like who? I guess maybe Nintendo.
But they're selling people chess.
Exactly. They sold people a calculator for $10. They can do anything, man.
They sold them cardboard for $80.
Oh, don't get me started on that. It's too early.
Oh boy. Anyway,
so maybe they're playing the real chess.
Yeah, they're playing that. Yeah, exactly. But Bomber said, but they showed to Chia. That's their core audience.
That's how you sacrifice the pawn.
Yes.
Just
they also already had a card game in their show.
Wow.
Yeah. I see.
Twisted Metal's not a racing game.
People complain about that stuff. You have 2 sports games in your show and you get flamed.
Hey, they had GTA 5.
Yeah.
Bro, GTA, they're going to rebuild GTA 5 and GTA 6. It's coming. It's coming, bro. We're never going to skip.
It'll be a mini game your character can play. They'll approach an arcade cabinet or they'll sit down.
Yeah,
it'll just be GTA 5.
You have to pay like 20 in-game dollars to play it.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You have to buy. Your character has to buy shark bucks.
Yes.
In the game.
Oh my god.
For 1 million.
Don't put ideas in their head. Come on now.
We got people just like brilliant.
They're already focus testing this, Haynes.
No doubt. Well, guys, because of the crazy conversations we got into today, we ran a little over, so we'll touch on we've got next week to talk about Halo Infinite Flight because Travis and I are going to have a lot to say about that. So next weekend will actually be just before the flight begins that week, so we'll get into it. But yeah, that's it, man. That's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you guys for joining us along this crazy journey we took today. We definitely were kind of all over the place, but it's always great. It's always fun conversation. Neo, man, always an absolute pleasure having you on. We always have a good time and a lot of laughs when you're on, man. So I appreciate it.
Neo's my favorite guest. Can we keep him? Can we keep the Neo pet?
Let me. You know what, Travis? I'll have my people. The Neo pet. Wow! It's been about 2.5 hours since I heard that joke. Wow!
I heard all over again.
Here we go. Everything comes full circle. That's what I'm saying. I'll have my people talk to your people about a retainer fee. We'll see what that's all about. But nah, dope.
Wait, people are getting paid for the show?
No, we already said no.
That's why we're in the red. That's why we're in the red, you guys. Nah, but as always, you guys. Dope show. A lot of great laughs, a lot of great tangents. I'm gonna go back and listen to this. It's gonna be a lot of fun. As always, to people in the chat, thank y'all so much for coming out to the session. Good morning to some people who are still waking up. I know it was early, but you know what? We got through it. But as always, y'all, if you want to follow me, it's twitter.com/NeoGameSpark. Same thing for my YouTube channel, but I want to give a huge shout out to the fine gentlemen over here at Season Gaming Podcast, Ty Guy Travis, homie Dan, and Ains for putting on another fantastic show. Support people in the community, man, especially those who are doing good work. And, again, thank you guys so much for having me on the show. It was a freaking blast.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
You're the best.
Travis.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis. I do a Destiny show every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific called The Last Word with my good friends Lord Cognito and Ebontis. I also write for IGN, and you can find my articles, reviews, previews on IGN.com. I just published last week a preview of World War Z Aftermath, which is looking pretty nice. And this week you can look out for my review of I Am Fish, a game I play.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's me. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys next week. And Neo, please don't be a stranger, man.
Yes, I'll pop in on the streams. Just leave that back door open.
Yeah.
You've got a permanent invite. You know that.
Thank you.
So, guys, for this week, stay tuned for a review of Deathloop. Gonna try to get it out tomorrow. Literally the rest of my day is gonna be playing that. While we were talking about it earlier, I added it up. I played it for 13 hours yesterday. So I'm trying to do the work and get that out as soon as I can. But if you are interested in that game, review embargo is tomorrow morning. So you'll see all the reviews pop up in the morning. Also, I sat down, like I think I mentioned last week, but if you haven't checked it out, conversation with Steven Spawn, CEO of Able Gamers. That's up on the channel. You can check that out. And going to be looking at some company sent me some controller grips for the DualSense, which I'm actually going to check out this week too. So look for that on the channel as well. But anyway, guys, chat, you've been great. Thanks for laughing along with us. Thanks for putting up with the ridiculous spam we got. All I can say is we've hit big time. We've hit the big time, man. We're getting spam.
You guys did it. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you as always. Anyone listening to this later, sorry for all the craziness today. It was a little wild with the live show, so I'm sure that translates a little poorly on the audio version, but we always appreciate you. So
where else are you going to get this type of seasoned entertainment? That's all I'm saying, bro. That's it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Never forget the seasoning around here.
You cannot. And I'll make sure of
the
it.
salt.
Every show that
and salt,
especially that Gran Turismo salt. That's what I'm saying. But what?
Oh my gosh. I'll have a separate show where we'll talk about Gran Turismo. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you next Saturday.